Yadav will join any time. In fact, she is in the physical mode in University Grants Commission, having her meeting there, and from there itself she will be joining. And other, I think, dignitaries, our faculty members, professionals from various organizations are joining. So Siddhant Jyoti will start now. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Welcome you all. And Siddhant Singh on the occasion of centenary year celebration of University of Delhi and Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Am I audible to all?
Voice is breaking.
Yes, audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. You are audible.
Thank you, sir. Welcome you all. I, Jyoti Tiwari and Siddhant Singh, research scholars from Department of Education and Extension, on the centenary year celebration of University of Delhi and Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, 75 years of Indian independence, Department of Adult Continuing Education and Extension is organizing two-day online seminar on the theme Prospects and Scope of Adult and Lifelong Learning, Education and Extension in Employability, Opportunities and Challenges. We welcome all the heads and directors and research scholars of different departments and universities of adult education, lifelong learning and extension education for this two-day national seminar. Now, I would like to invite Professor Rajesh, convener of this seminar and head of Department of Adult Continuing Education and Extension, University of Delhi, to please provide the introduction and overview of this seminar. Professor Rajesh, please.
Welcome you all this afternoon. I welcome Professor K. Parthasarathy, Honorable former Vice Chancellor, Tamil Nadu Open Universities, our various heads, deans from our faculty, Professor C. Maba, our honorable faculty members and faculty members, heads of the department from various departments of adult continuing education and extension, departments of lifelong learning and extension, whatever nomenclature we have. We continue to organize such programs through our platform, through various other platforms available in the field of adult and lifelong learning, like Indian Adult Education Association, International Institute of Adult and Lifelong Learning, Indian University Association of Continuing Education, and such other professional organization during the COVID time and before. The same objective we had to organize this program online first in the centenary year of University of Delhi, completing 100 years of its existence this year, and 75 years of our independence, Azadi Ke Amrit Mahotsav. We all universities and departments are organizing lots of activities on new education policy and on similar issues and concerns. This two-day online seminar is also like the same, where we will be discussing on the aspect of the courses, employability, professionalizations, and other issues and concerns, challenges and opportunities in the field. We will deliberate upon before the University Grants Commission and the Ministry of Education the various nomenclature we have had: Department of Lifelong Learning or Department of Lifelong Learning or Extension. The various courses we have, somewhere we have MA in Lifelong Learning and Extension, somewhere we have MA in Rural Development and Adult Education, somewhere Extension and Development, and likewise. In the new education policy 2020, which all of us in the higher education system had adopted and started developing our content and curriculum at undergraduate level, at postgraduate level, we are also here, University of Delhi is busy in designing the 4-year undergraduate program, which will be implemented from this year. We all know. And as a adult lifelong learning professionals in the field, we also try to see that where our discipline, where our professional field will chip in the 4-year undergraduate program. Is it in the Indian knowledge system? Is it in the skill-based courses? Is it in the value addition courses, or offering the complete 4-year multidisciplinary course in the field? Our existence in the field of adult and lifelong learning depends upon our professional fields, teaching and research, and the employability of the younger generation who are working as research scholars and working on various issues and concerns. Whenever such issue is asked, either by our Vice Chancellor or other organizations, what is the employability, what is the scope, I too do not have the complete answer. We try to answer, but we do not know whether how far we are right or wrong. We all know that adult and lifelong learning begin at the extension as third dimension with the policy of University Grants Commission in 1977. 100+ universities working in the field, either through the Indian Adult Education Association or our own efforts of Ms. Jyoti Tiwari and Siddhant Singh working, that how many universities are, by and large, we could compile the data of 35 departments. I think they may be joining today or tomorrow as Department of Adult Continuing Education and Extension. We are trying to bring all the faculties working in the field, all the research scholars together, because whenever in the University of Delhi and other places it is being asked that now the research scholars will able to submit their research studies only on that basis or in that basis. So we used to think, what are the journals, UGC Care Journal, peer-reviewed journal, or Scopus Journal, what the science people are talking. I don't know when will be implemented in humanities and social sciences. They ask about that. We do not know what will happen to our multidisciplinary field at the allied and applied field in the adult and lifelong learning. So there are so many questions that in today online mode, we will try to answer, we will try to present, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, or maybe in a writing form to the University Grants Commission. And we will also see over the 2 days that the program introduced by the Ministry of Education, that is New India Literacy Program 2022-2027. What will be the role of Department of Adult Continuing Education? Some of us have seen that something is written about this online program, digital mode program, and the role of the volunteers and the action researches to be undertaken by the Department of Adult Continuing Education. It is the New India Literacy Program 2022-2027 is talking about, not talking about the resources available. We have to do it from our own resources. So we will also discuss upon that how again the role of the University Grants Commission will be there, and this is why we invited our Honorable University Grants Commission member, Professor Susma Yadav, to be there on this platform and to understand the various issues and concerns of adult and lifelong learning, and to see how from these 35 departments to all the universities, maybe public or private, introduces adult and lifelong learning, introduces courses, because I see many opportunities under the new education policy 2020 in one form or the other, because whatever the new things that are being taught in the NAP 2020, some of it we are already doing as a multidisciplinary program. But thing is that how to develop this professional field in such a way that younger generation who are entering in the field, maybe as a research scholar, maybe as a faculty in any form, they exist and our professionalization further grow. So we will ponder over such issues in the 2-day online mode, and as part of the recommendation, we will try to do that University of Delhi in the centenary year, trying to do something in September 2022 in offline mode. We will see that how the University Grants Commission, the Ministry of Education is implementing something or there, or maybe that in September 2022, such program is further conducted with the help of the University Grants Commission, Ministry of Education in offline mode. So this was the basic agenda of conducting the 2-day program, and it will be possible only when we all will provide our point of view and will see that how our field because we all have to sweat, struggle for the existence of the field, so that the younger generation can see this as a greater hope. It is the challenge that the senior people have, and it is the challenge for the younger generation also to work hard and to come under the ambit of NAP 2020 and New India Literacy Program. With this background, I again welcome you all who have joined on the online mode, and I will take this opportunity to invite Professor K. Parthasarathy, our Honorable former Vice Chancellor, Tamil Nadu Open University, with many years of experiences he had in the field, in developing the entrepreneurship program, contributing in the field from various level to the level of Vice Chancellor. So his experience, his expertise will certainly be highly useful in the field. So not talking too much now on this occasion, I would like to you give the platform to Professor Parthasarathy, and I was told by our chief guest, Professor Susma Yadav, says that she will be joining any time in between. So just give opportunity first to Professor K. Parthasarathy, our guest of honor on this occasion. So I am extending him the opportunity by welcoming you all. Sir, Professor K. Parsati, thank you and welcome. And I again welcome Sri Kailash Chaudhary, Professor Yasubai Saha, and others who have joined our faculty member, Professor Mir, who is available, and some classroom is also available from, I think, North Bengal University. I really welcome the young scholars who are seen in this platform. Thank you, sir. Professor Parsati.
Very good afternoon to all of you. Respected our
welcome, Professor Susma Yadav has already joined the Member University Grants Commission. I hope I welcome her. She is already there in the platform. So after that, we will invite her, Professor Parsati, to speak at the chief guest. Sir, Professor Parsati.
Very good afternoon to all of you. Respected Professor Susma Yadav, the member UGC, former Vice Chancellor, and the Professor Siva, this is the Dean, Faculty of Social Sciences, probably he may join in between, and Rajesh, the Professor at the Department of Adult and Continuing Education of Delhi University, and colleague Dr. Rahul Yadav, who is going to propose a vote of thanks, and the other colleagues, those who have joined in this great meet in the commemoration of the 100th year of celebration of the Delhi University. My good old friends, S.O. Shah, and other professor colleagues from different universities and associate professors and assistant professors. And also I could see some of the faces almost 30-40 years. They have all joined us. And also all the research scholars and the PhD scholars and also the students of postgraduate degree in different subjects but undergoing in the Department of Adult and Continuing Education. And also I would like to thank the Department of Adult and Continuing Education for inviting me and also given an opportunity to meet the people and also say few words about our thematic presentation, that is prospects and the scope of employability in adult and lifelong learning in higher education in India, challenges and opportunities. The challenges and opportunities to the students community, especially the students, those who are undertaking the program in the Department of Adult and Continuing Education. The best example now, the seminar is followed by Ms. Jyoti Tiwari, the PhD scholar, and Mr. Siddhant Singh, MPhil scholar, have been given the responsibility of coordinating the program and organizing the program and also giving the master of ceremony. That shows the example of the youngsters, how we should be treated in the Department of Adult and Continuing Education. We must give a lot of opportunities to the students community. Then only they will face any kind of consequences or any kind of issues in the near future. I wanted to record my sincere thanks for giving this opportunity to the youngsters to coordinated organization. This is not the first time the Rajesh and other the department colleagues giving this opportunity to the students community. Each and every time, whenever they are organizing the program, they give one or two scholars or the students community to take part in the organizational part. That is the only area. Second, as far as this program is concerned, this is an important topic today as far as the Department of Adult and Continuing Education is concerned. If you go back during 1976 or 1978, some Professor S.O. Shah is there, Chaudhary is there, some of the professors are witnessing the program. We started our Department of Adult and Continuing Education or Adult Education or Extension Education. So we were started. Actually, out of those days, we have only 500 and odd universities in the Indian higher education system. Out of 500 the Adult and Continuing Education Department where exists almost 126 universities out of 500. 126 departments, they have started only the extension activities and they did only the extension program for the rural masses and other student, non-student youth or the school, out of school youth children. But slowly they started to get the recognition from the other academic colleagues in the university system. Really, we started our own postgraduate diploma program or the PG program, but we never thought of the students community, those who wanted to join, those who wanted to complete the program of PG level and then go for MPhil and go for PhD, and what is the job prospects or employability to the students community. We never thought of, including myself also. I was also served as a professor at the Department of Adult and Continuing Education. Now I have changed in the department as a lifelong learning in Bharadas University. I have served nearly 3 decades. But wherever we service, we started with the postgraduate diploma, but as far as the postgraduate diploma in adult and continuing education is concerned, we are able to get some job perspective in the field of such a rural functional literacy program, national adult education program, or mass functional literacy program. Whatever the program we have heard earlier, and also the total literacy program. Some of the students of adult and continuing education able to get the job. Otherwise, they are not able to get the job. Most of them are unemployed or unemployable category students only we have. That is a fact. As far as this today's setup is concerned, we have 1,040 universities in India. Out of 1,040 universities, we have only earlier we have 126 departments. Slowly it has been merged or closed down. Once the professor or the coordinator or the associate professor who have joined the department, you have handled the department. Once he has retired, the department has also been ordered up or closed down or attached to some other schools or departments. That is why now we are able to, Professor Rajesh, when he was welcoming the gathering, he told about 35 departments, only 35 departments are surviving in the university in all over India, offering the PG programs. As of now, I came to understand that over 50 departments are there. Department in the name of adult education, or Department of Adult and Continuing Education, or Department of Continuing Education, Department of Extension Education, Department of Lifelong Learning, and the Department of Continuing Education Extension. Professor S.Y. Sharp probably remember that during our 2000, the former director of the Trivandrum, Kerala University Trivandrum, Vijay Kumar, and Professor Shah and myself and other colleagues joined together at the university. We want to have the nomenclature of the entire department, the entire country must be a department of lifelong learning. Or if the university statutes and acts and other university authorities are not agreeable, you can have a nomenclature of Department of Adult and Extension Education. Such a way we took a decision at the UGC with the support of former chairmen and vice chairmen and other colleagues and joint secretaries in the UGC. As of now, out of these 35 departments, we don't have a uniformity at all. If you have a list of 35 departments, where Rajesh may be having, you see that all the 35 departments, we don't have a uniform nomenclature. All the departments have their own nomenclature. Then, when you go for offering of the program of PG program, what is the program we are offering? What is the program the students are coming over? What is the program that we are giving them the knowledge and skills and aptitude to get right in the English sector? For which we are offering the PG program, MA Adult Education, MA Continuing Education, MA Extension Education, MA Rural Development, MA Andragogy, MA Lifelong Education, MA Lifelong Learning, MA Human Resource Management, MA Human Resource Development, MA Adult and Continuing Education, MA Career Guidance and Extension, and the Master of Rural, MA Master of Rural Technology, MA Development Education and Administration. These are all the different nomenclature. We are of the Department of Adult and Continuing Education or the Lifelong Learning offering the program for the past 3 decades. We don't have these are all the class majors. We don't have a UG program. We don't have a similar UG to PG program. And then we don't have a MPhil and Adult and Continuing Adult PhD program. We have interdisciplinary, and multidisciplinary. Already we are offering this program. That is a very, very problem of getting the employment opportunity, especially in the higher education, especially as an assistant professor in the university system. Wherever you go, wherever you apply for the post of assistant professor in the Department of Adult and Continuing Education, each and every university follows the UGC norms, PG plus doctorate and other experiences and expertise. But our students are not able to get it. And students, we are all class major students we are producing. As far as the MPhil is also a class major, and the PhD is also class major. We are allowing to do interdisciplinary. That is why we are not able to have a uniformity in our program. As far as the new education policy 2020 is concerned, there is a provision of having a 4-year integrated program, and then after the 4-year integrated program, you can straight away go for the PhD program. We must thought of all the existing 30 or 35 departments of adult and continuing lifelong learning join together. You must have a detailed debate, and they have not only the Delhi University should go for this 4-year integrated with PhD. I congratulate the Delhi University Vice Chancellor who took a lot of initiative, and the Dean Faculty of Social Sciences. He took a lot of initiative. All the colleagues, Dubai and other, the district and other colleagues in the department took a lot of initiative and going for a 4-year integrated and the PhD, followed by the PhD. Similarly, all the 35 departments of adult and continuing education should be named as today, as same nomenclature, and also they must start up having this 4+1 year of the PhD program. Then only in the future course of action, once the students complete the program, definitely they will go on to serve as some faculty colleagues, or even going for abroad also they will get opportunities, or they wanted to go to industry or interdisciplinary. We must have such a way the major papers as well as the some interrelated programs must have. Then we can go for a dual degree with the new education policy says. For example, the 4-year integrated program can undergo the students. Similarly, they can undergo some other program also. There are a lot of opportunities. There is academic reading time is also there. There are NPTL is also there to go for a 3-year to 2 credit program. Such a way, there are a lot of flexibility on the part of the students. But as far as our colleagues are concerned, as far as these 35 to 50 departments, we have a 225 faculty colleagues, more than 225 faculty colleagues in the cadre of senior professor, associate professor, and assistant professor. But if you get a survey of all these 225, they are all well experienced, nearly 25, 35 years, 20 years, 15 years of experience. But these expertise of all the 225 to 250 faculty colleagues serving in the Department of Adult and Continuing Education or the lifelong learning are not exposed to this new concept of 4-year integrated with the PhD program and the uniformity of lifelong learning are then only the future students, future course of action will be smooth and useful for our faculty colleagues. That is what the area. As well as another record says, for example, the students, those who are registered for the employment opportunities in the different states and other places, as far as the interdisciplinary or interdisciplinary or adult education, continuing education, extension education, or the lifelong education or extension education, almost 500 and odd PhD holders in all over the India, produced by our own professionals, colleagues in the university system, that's especially their lifelong learning and adult education, they are not able to get a job. We have produced at highest corporate level, but we are not able to give them a job, we are not able to advise them, or we are not able to guide them, or we are not able to give them the additional skills in the form of employability. That is a challenging task in our field. As far as the, when I was the Vice Chancellor of Open University, I thought I launched the adult and continuing education. I did my MA Andrology, that's adult education, PhD in Andrology, and the adult education, the UGC fellowship. I completed and I served in the State Resource Center for Non-Formal Education, Madras, for 2.5 years, and then moved to the Associate Professor and head the Department of Adult and Continuing Education of Bharat University. Then I changed the Department of Lifelong Learning based on the UGC's guidelines and regulations. And then we introduced a PG program as well as MPhil and PhD program in adult and continuing education. But as far as this, my experience in the field of adult and continuing education and also doctorate in this field, I have yielded a very good result in terms of serving as a program coordinator, training and documentation for training adult education functionaries throughout the Tamil Nadu, at a state, and then move to the university system, able to take up many projects and also to guide the PhD scholars, how the PhD scholars in the field of adult and continuing education. I want to proudly say that out of 20 PhD scholars, 80 PhD scholars are working in the not only in India but also in abroad as a professor and head. Some of them are professors in the academy, they are working. Some of them are the students must take the responsibility. Our students must take for our non-academic. They should not waste their time and energy and their doctorate degree for the cause of only degree. For which my doctorate, my degree, my things in the adult education field yielded a very good result. I elevated as a professor, senior post professor at the university, dean, and then a syndicate member, finance committee member. Finally got the vice chancellor of Tamil Nadu Open University also. I advise the youngsters, those who have completed the doctorate, those who are doing the doctorate, those who are studying the PG program, don't think your degree is wasted, your time is wasted, but you have to think it over to where is the job opportunities, where is the job potential, where is the job seekers skill set. Otherwise, you have converted yourself as an entrepreneur. I made them an entrepreneur in the thousands and thousands in the Bharat University. There is a possibility. There is a lot of scope in the Indian government setup where they are giving subsidized loan, but starting from 25 lakhs to almost 5 crore with the subsidy. But wherein as far as Tamil Nadu Open University is concerned, when I was there, I wanted to help the adult and continuing education students studied all over India. Those who have completed cross major, or doctorate in adult education, or continuing education, or extension education. We have a concept of constituent community college, where each district we have a government of Tamil Nadu has supported the cause in terms of establishing the constituent community college at the district level, as well as the regional center of the Tamil Nadu Open University, where we need to concentrate or we need to teach some sort of skill development program, certificate, skill development and certificate, skill development in the postgraduate, and some of the programs in the vocational diploma. For which we need to have a trained workforce, wherein I have put a policy note and got approval of the government. Whenever the Tamil Nadu Open University advertises for the post of assistant professor in the Constituent Community College, only the candidate who have completed the adult and continuing discipline with the doctorate, they can get the permanent position of assistant professor in the Tamil Nadu state. Similarly, the professor and aide and also other colleagues serving in the department must think of our own colleagues must get employability and other things. Nowadays, getting the employability is a very Victorian task. Victorian task. It is not. It is easy to get a government employment. As far as the entire country is concerned, the government of India or the concerned state government able to provide only 3 to 5% of the government jobs, where our share will be at 0.005 or 6, our fee. That is a negligible fee. And then as far as the private sector is concerned, they are able to provide 80 or 85% of the job opportunities, depending upon your skill set and depending upon your knowledge and other things. The degree is not at all they are considering, but as far as the qualification of things apart from these, they are concentrating on only skill set of the concerned individuals. You have to develop your skill set and other things. Then only you can be able to survive in this field. So similarly, I would like to express my things that the government of India is going to launch a program of New India Literacy Program, wherein the Department of Adult and Continuing Education, through the UGC, we must put up a proposal to the government of India, that if it is a voluntary basis or if it is a collective basis, the trained people, the program, if we want to succeed the program, we need a trained people in the field of adult and continuing education. Wherein other people may be deployed there. We must put a proposal to the UGC or the Ministry of Education to appeal them to have accommodated our people to implement the program at the national level. With these key words, I would congratulate once again the entire organizers, the PhD scholars and other colleagues and other department of and other my own good friend colleagues, those who are witnessing the program, and also the students community, especially the MPhil and doctorate and the PG students. I would like to return my sincere thanks and gratitude to the entire population to get involved in this new education policy, and also you must be get engaged in some of the field as a employable candidate and earn, understand your own life and live your expected life of you in the near future. With these viewers, I return thanks. Happy congratulations to the all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor K. Parsarthi, for giving a by and large a complete overview of our field. Now I will take the opportunity to request Professor Seema Baba. I think she is here as a Dean Faculty of Socials to kindly welcome our Honorable Chief Guest, Professor Susma Yadav, Member, University Grants Commission. Now I invite Dean Faculty of Social Sciences and the Head Department of History to welcome Honorable Professor Susma Yadav. Ma'am, thank you.
Welcome to the seminar. It's a very important seminar. Thank you, Professor Parthasarathi, for the inaugural words, which give us a kind of an idea about this issues that are facing not just the subject but education per se, and the challenges before us, which is something that Professor Yadav is also tackling a lot as being a member of the UGC, and I'm sure she's very well aware of the kind of challenges that all of us are facing under the changing circumstances under COVID. We have had so many challenges to education at all levels that we are dealing with. But it's a privilege to welcome Professor Sushma Yadav, who is suggestions and are there in all her books. She's worked on water, human growth and civilization, Lok Prashashan, Siddhant, even Vyavhar, case concept and case in public administration, gender issue in India, Bharatiya Rajya Utpatti or Vikas, and many others. She's published many research articles and prestigious journals. So welcome, Professor Yadav. I'm sure whatever you contribute would be of great value to the seminar and all the participants. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am, unmute.
Professor Yadav.
नहीं, आवाज नहीं आ रही मैम. अनम्यूट करना हूं मैम.
Ma'am is already unmuted. I think there is some network issue from her side.
Network issue, ma'am.
Yes.
तो वीडियो ऑफ करके कर सकते हैं मैम. आई थिंक इफ देयर इज सम इशू.
गुड आफ्टरनून मैम. आप काइंडली rejoin if possible. Rejoin करिए.
Yes, sir. Actually, there is a network issue from her side, and we asked him to rejoin again. Now, ma'am is here.
Hello, Rajesh.
Hello, sir.
We are facing network problem.
Yes, ma'am is facing network. She's trying to rejoin.
Inaugural session, Professor K. Parthasarathi, and I would say dear colleague, former Vice Chancellor, Tamil Nadu Open University, the host, not only the host, but the head of the department and program coordinator of the Department of Adult Continuing Education and Extension, Professor Rajesh, I would say you are dynamic. You are doing lots of programs in subsequent, you know, phases. So you are. I must compliment you, your activism or proactivism, and your enthusiasm about the subject. I compliment the entire university because I'm sure you are representing the university also here, and the university is thinking of moving in the direction of NEP 2020 so that the spirit of the national education policy can, in fact, be made into reality soon enough. I start with complimenting for organizing this All India seminar, though online, to mark your 100 years of celebration of university's existence, which is my alma mater also. So it's a greater pleasure for me. And also the subject that you have chosen, prospects and scope of employability in adult and lifelong learning in higher education in India, challenges and opportunities. Employability remains at the heart of all discussions on education policy as well as education structures, educational planning, educational thinking. And lifelong learning also has been very important aspect for us because till now we've not been able to achieve the target of literacy, and literacy can never be enough for a country or for a nation which wants to be knowledge society or a knowledge based on in a nation based on knowledge. So this seminar gains a very important or significant position. Also and give my warm greetings to all the senior academicians, scholars and researchers, experts of lifelong learning who have joined here, and I can see the team which has put us all together, Ms. Jyoti Tiwari, Mr. Siddhant Singh, who have really coordinated us all. Compliments to you as well. If you look at the recommendations of various committees and commissions before this new education policy and the UGC guidelines issued for adult continuing education and extension, it becomes very clear or evident that the goal of UGC is to transfer knowledge and the resources which are coming out of the knowledge to the community at large. And lifelong learning or the adult education, it's not merely adult education, but it is market, it is continuing as well as extension. So extension activities and the linkages of education with the community, with the society, become the most important aspect of the activities of any department of continuing. If you remember, this extension is institutionalized in the entire university system or systems at large, and the National Education Policy 2020 looks at it that education has to be, or the university system has to be, adult learner friendly and pro-life learning, because it talks about extending whatever is gained by the educationists to the society at large. It can be the Department of Lifelong Learning, it can be this distance education, it can be digital education, names can be many, and the instruments can be many, or agencies can be many. But the main purpose is to take entire society together. And that's why Kothari Commission had about the Trinity, the three aspects of education, but that was teaching, research, and extension. I think somehow on the working towards this, forgot the connection between the two. We do talk about them in details, but we did not really focus on extension activities. That's why our Honorable Prime Minister now had to say that the university must have a connect with the villages. The university must have a connect with the community at large, and university must feel its social responsibility. That's why bringing children to the university, bringing rural people to the university, or university itself adopting 5 villages has become the focus of education system in the recent years. The Unnat Bharat Abhiyan is one aspect or manifestation of that. The following Kothari Commission and its report in 1977, as long back as that, the UGC had articulated the concept of education, the third important responsibility to involve the community and the diverse learning needs, because the diverse learning needs always remain in any nation or society as important ones. It was later on, under the 11th plan, brought back as lifelong learning and extension, or developing lifelong learning and discipline of study as a discipline of study and as a field of practice. Most recently, as Dr. Rajesh had shared with us, NEP 2020 has made us, or made the Government of India, start the New India Literacy Program 2022 to 27. It's a 5-year plan, seems to be a 5-year plan under the Ministry of Education, because the NEP 2020 brought it clearly, and it really focuses on this aspect. The opportunity to attain foundational literacy, obtain an education, and pursue a livelihood must be viewed as basic rights of every citizen. It's a lofty ideal. If we take it as a basic right, and we have miles to go and miles to go before we literacy basic education are important, because they open up whole new worlds of personal, civic, economic, and lifelong learning opportunities for individuals that enable them to progress personally and educationally. आप सब जानते हैं, जिसके पास शिक्षा है उसके पास बहुत सी संभावनाएं भी हैं, बहुत से प्रगति के मार्ग भी खुलते हैं और बहुत कुछ उत्तरदायित्व भी बढ़ते हैं. उस रूप में लाइफ लॉन्ग लर्निंग को देखना हमारे लिए आवश्यक है. The worldwide data on nations indicate extreme high relations or correlations between literacy rates, education, and per capita GDP. Therefore, literacy and basic education become very, very powerful forces, and not only powerful forces, but very forceful multipliers, which greatly enhance the success of all other developmental efforts. And we must view at lifelong learning and the Department of Continuing Education and its extension activities from this lens or from this focus. So that's why you would be able to remove the disadvantages which are associated with being a non-literate person or a non-literate citizen. The liabilities can be difficulties in carrying out basic financial transactions, compare the quality, quantity of goods purchased against the price charged, fill out forms to apply for jobs, getting loans, getting services from different service providers, comprehend public circulars, public policies, articles in the different media, that is right to information also gets affected, and using the technology and internet to improve one's life and profession, comprehend directions, and the list goes on. Was being non-literate, therefore adult education and literacy, and then more than literacy, become very important aims of any society which really wants to make the nation strong. NEP 2020 also moves in that direction. Therefore, extension activities become important. Not only this, the NEP also focused on researches, and I'm sure Department of Education, before announcing this seminar, also tried to look at the different research findings. So extensive field studies and researches and analysis of the findings, both in India and across the world, clearly demonstrate that volunteerism and community involvement and mobilization are key success factors of adult literacy programs, in conjunction with, of course, political will, organizational structure, proper planning, adequate financial support, and high quality capacity building of educators and volunteers. I'm sure this seminar tries to look at all these dimensions of adult education. You are focusing on employability because, after all, employment or a vocation and a decent vocation on that remains an ideal for every person who comes to acquire education or acquire degree. When we acquire degrees or education based on degrees, main purpose remains to get a decent or a fulfilling employment and lead a good human life. But when you work in extension activities, you go beyond this. It's not merely employment, but it's service based employment. And that's why it's different. I am so happy that at your department, in this seminar, you're planning to explore the various possibilities which are attached with this uh, kind of education also. All other degrees surely had been looking at employability, but Department of Lifelong Education or Continuing Education or Adult Education and Extension also must look at making this fruitful for the youngsters, and therefore employment opportunities have to be explored. I am very sure what Professor Partha Sarthi just shared with you from his lifelong experience. And he has almost given to you that with this department and living in or working in this department, you have ample opportunities to reach till the position of vice chancellor, of course. And I'm sure when you deliberate these 2 days with all experts from the field, you'll find many more avenues which can be as fruitful. And therefore, what you're trying to do, of course, NEP says that a new curriculum will be framed, new degree programs will be explored. And I'm sure because it's Delhi University, the University of Delhi must explore as a leader to be the first to find out what all new courses and new curriculum can be, in fact, introduced in the adult education and what are the various options before them. And when you will all sit together, I'm sure you will find much more to think upon than you've already planned. You plan to see how different departments will work towards getting funds and then utilizing their funds and then have innovative programs, also innovative means of instruction or innovative means of instructional delivery, and how to motivate learners who do not find something which is immediately before them, like we have in our graduate or postgraduate programs. So you also will have to take action research to bridge this connect between the communities and the educators or the learners. So I understand from your information that this 2 day seminar is of course exploring the prospects and scope of employability, and you have nearly 30 to 40 universities joining this and experts from these universities all across India. Your discussions about nomenclature of the department, because I think there are too many now. It's like multiple nomenclature. So nomenclature of the department, the various courses which you offer at various universities, your research activities, your curriculum, and then your extension and community outreach. How you all connect with each other, that becomes very important. And when you will all try to explore areas, many more areas will also emerge out of it. Like what you have, it's a long list. I'm not going to repeat, but you do try to find. I won't say to explore UGC funding, but I would say you explore UGC funding will come to you, or employment will come to you anyway, because these departments are important departments. But you must explore, as you have planned, the linkages and partnerships with the New India Literacy Program, which Ministry of Education just started, how All India University Forum can be really built, and because that will also be a feather in the cap of University of Delhi in its centenary year. And then if you compile various courses, there will be information available at one place. You will be able to have a data bank of various faculties, various courses, various curricula under the department, and the list of experts, be the scholars or teachers in these departments, and then the various journals available in the field. I really admire your discussion points, which you have framed with lot of clarity and lot of will to explore further, and also to align it with the National Education Policy 2020. Therefore, I would wish you all the very best, and I really wish that you are able to connect with the corporate world and the corporate organizations, the NGOs, and the professional organizations. And you also will be able to discuss in this 2-day seminar how to have your own FDPs or your faculty development programs or refresher courses as you have planned. Out of this will surely come out very, very important points for nomenclature, for curriculum, and also for the further research and extension activities. With these, I really wish you all the very best. I am very sure this seminar, with all of you putting your brains together, you'll be able to find a pathway and an important direction for the Department of Continuing Education or Lifelong Learning and Extension to make place in the National Education Policy 2020 and beyond that in the entire committee of knowledge-seeking learners all around. And I send you all my best wishes in this great endeavor. I thank the Department of Continuing Education for inviting me to this very, very important beginning of a very important seminar, and my best wishes. Dr. Rajesh, special thanks to you and your team, but my thanks to the university as well. सबको नमस्कार, बहुत-बहुत धन्यवाद.
Thank you, ma'am. Before I invite Dr. Rahul, you are here? Dr. Rahul? Before I invite our youngest faculty member, I think he's here, Jyoti. I think Madam stated some of the question where we should send you the recommendation. I should now with you because the university grants commission, it is obvious that
because at 4 I have the other meeting.
Okay. Dr. Rahul, you are here? Dr. Rahul, you can
have questions. You have questions. Some of them Dr. Parthasarathy will answer, others you share with me and I'll answer.
Okay. Yeah, I think there was some question from North Bengal University. I think Madam has to. Yeah, quickly, if you can ask quickly.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes, Madam, please allow me to ask question.
Yes, please, quickly, just because Madam have to join somewhere.
Okay, only one question. We are introducing MA in rural development from our Department of Lifelong Learning and Extension after 15 and 16 years. So we observe number of students are passed out. So we observe, so in the course MA in rural development, there have been no date, skill date is not introduced by UGC. On behalf of our students, and so many research scholars, particularly from the rural development and social science, they are continuing their research under the supervision of our department. So we will be grateful if you take necessary steps for introduction of NET by UGC. So we will be benefited, our students will be benefited, not only our university, as far as my knowledge, There's so many universities are introducing and they are running rural development courses. So, madam, please.
Sure, please send this, Rajesh ji. Take a mail
Yes,
from
ma'am.
me.
Yes, we'll take the
Dear doctor,
recommendation together. Yeah.
yes, send a mail to me and I'll pursue it and find out if it is possible. Surely it will be done.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you,
Okay.
ma'am.
All right.
I think other question we will give it through recommendation or we'll compile and then we'll ask Dr. Rahul, our youngest faculty. I just give you the opportunity to provide quickly vote of thanks
of
because
thanks.
Madam has to leave. Dr. Rahul.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Respected dignitaries, invitees, participants, and students. I'm feeling honored to get this opportunity to conclude this inaugural session uh, of seminar, which on prospectus and scope of employability in adult and lifelong learning in higher education in India, challenges and opportunities. On behalf of my department, I would like to express profound gratitude to our Dean, Professor Seema Baba, Faculty of Social Sciences and Head, Department of History, University of Delhi. Thank you, ma'am, for shaping us. I'm happy to offer sincere thanks to our distinguished guest, Professor Sushma Yadav, member of University Grant Commission and former Vice Chancellor of BPS Mahila Vishwavidyalaya, Haryana. Ma'am, your participation, I am sure that have given depth to the content and deliberation. Thank you to coming here. Thank you, ma'am, for blessing.
Thank you.
I convey
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. I convey my sincere thanks to our guest of honor, Professor K. Parthasarathy, sir, former Vice Chancellor, Tamil Nadu Open University. Thank you very much for your contribution and time. Thank you so much to being here. My sincere thanks to convener of this seminar and departmental head, Senior Professor Rajesh, sir, for his blessing and motivation. Sir, you are our source of motivation and energy. Thank you, sir. I thank to our departmental faculty member, Professor V.K. Dikshit, Professor Prakash Narayan, Professor J.P. Dubey, Dr. Vandana Sisodia, ma'am. I also thankful to coordinators Siddhant Singh and Jyoti Tiwari, technical assistant Rameshwar Gupta, who have worked hard for this seminar. At the end, I thankful to administrative staff, Mr. Vijay Mamta. But before this, we most humble thanks to Professor Yaswai Shah and K.C. Chaudhary and other faculty members of Department of Adult Education and Continuous Adult Educational Practitioners, students and stakeholders. At the end, I thankful to administrative, our departmental administrative staff, Mr. Vijay, Mamta, Abhay Narayan, Amit, and Jagmohan. Thank you. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you, Dr. Rahul. Our youngest faculty, I think it's an opportunity for you. I am really delighted for Professor Sushma Yadav here on this occasion, Professor Parthasarathy joining here, and Professor Seema Baba. When I just sent him, she said that she's already there at 3 from the platform, having this busy schedule. All of them have joined, and very senior, faculty that Dr. Rahul you already added. They joined this for today program. I think I am really thankful to those who have joined, and it will remain continue after the inaugural session. We will have a session on ICT by Dr. Aruna Sharma. Dr. Aruna Sharma, I hope she's here, madam, had joined. Yeah. Dr. Aruna Sharma is, former IS, former, chief secretary, and then she is a Bath fellow from UK, and expert of human rights and other areas, and she is the alumni of University of Delhi, also contributed her PhD from under the faculty of social sciences. I really welcome Dr. Aruna Sharma to be here as the first speaker on this occasion just after the inaugural session, and that too very important issue on the educational technology aspect linked with the lifelong learning. So not speaking too much, I just invite Dr. Aruna Sharma to speak on this important occasion. Welcome you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So I will be focusing on need for updating knowledge and lifelong learning, as the name of the department itself suggests, on the EdTech and employability. As you all know, India have 65% youth, and we need 8 million sustainable jobs per annum. You will be amazed to know that employment, the seeking is becoming a big problem, and unemployment rate is increasing to 7% plus. And what is more amazing is 35% of the population is below the age of 25. And we have a population which is not employable. You can see that where does our democratic dividend lead to? And therefore, the importance becomes much more valued of the lifelong education, adult education, continued education, which generates employment or which becomes increases the employability. Now, many a times, you will find in newspapers the blame for unemployment is put to international factors. Sometimes you will say it is Russia-Ukraine war. Sometimes you'll say it is inflation is there across the globe. Sometimes you will say that because of the dollar rupee rates, if there's no investment coming, the investors are moving out, and therefore this unemployment is increasing. But the biggest challenge is that we have to introspect and see, are we doing enough to prepare the youth for the changing requirement of the jobs, which is coming up very, very strong. If you look at the way the scenario in India is growing for the potential employers, they are moving in a big way for automation. That is going to reduce literally 85 million jobs, which is going to be displaced with machines. So 40% of the population will require reskilling to be employable. And that is your clientele when we are talking about a lifelong education or continued education. So 40% those who are already employed, and 8 million which is going to need employment every year. So that is a huge clientele that you have, and the universities across India have to gear up to handle this kind of a problem. Otherwise, democratic dividend will become a liability, and you will have this hordes of unemployed youth hanging around getting frustrated. You will see that everything is changing. And when you talk, besides, so you have 40% of 85 million, which needs to be retrained, and the new graduates which are coming out, or new people who are entering the workforce, you'll be amazed to know the industry employers say 65% of them are unemployable. So what is being discussed in the inaugural course, which I overheard, is it is important for you to have a relook into your curriculum and look at whether this curriculum, what you are teaching, the kind of skills, the kind of education, is it leading them to be a better employable, or they will continue to be among those 65% who are completely unemployable. If you look at the Indian labor, what it is talking about, that 29 million skill deficit is there in India. And it is going to cost, no joke, because I work more in the area of development economy, and it is going to cost economy $2 trillion. So in one breath, India is targeting to become a $5 trillion economy by 2030. And because of this youth, 29 million skill deficit, if they are unemployable, 65% are unemployable, 8 million jobs we are not able to create, and 40% require reskilling, then how we will get to the $5 trillion economy? We will end up into a minus or a loss of $2 trillion economy. So you can understand the importance of this department, the importance of that, why this has to be emphasized every university of the. You are going ahead with this. So there is going to be an enhanced responsibility in terms of prospects, in terms of scope, in terms of challenges, in terms of employability. And one thing which I found completely missing while you were all discussing in the previous session, that the timeline of education of the adult. By timeline, it has to be suitable to that of a learner. It cannot be that, okay, university opens at 9 o'clock and closes at 5 o'clock. And this is the place you acquire your lifelong learning. The answer is no. It has to be in a timeline when this adult wants to, has a spare time and wants to relearn, wants to upskill, wants to acquire additional knowledge, want to switch the course or the department or education that person has taken. So the key word is going to be that whatever the university changes has to suit to the timeline of the learner. So you have to put the learner as a centerpiece and not the university as a centerpiece. How are you going to acquire it? Here, that's where the technology comes into picture. That's where the role of EdTech comes into the picture. Because something which, though it can be created, it can be taken by the learner at the timeline suitable to them. And that is where this reskilling gives them a new employability. The new education policy is talking about bridge skill gap. How are you going to bridge the skill gap? And the private sector, you should figure out. So you have to expand your mechanism of imparting your knowledge of lifelong learning by piggy riding on the private sector and take the advantage which is being simple and quick to update as per the need of the market. You will be amazed to know that EdTech industry is going to increase to $194 billion. And this kind of a technology, which is going to be cutting edge, which will be accessible, which will be affordable, most important. So it is not going to be just replacing the coaching just in the classroom, but it will be at a suitable timeline, the course designed by the experts of the universities, which is going to make them much more employable and acquire the skills. Let me give you an example. If somebody wants to shift to educate people into rooftop gardening, now all the skills that are required, all the marketing that is required, all the access of the material that is required, all the skills to educate the people, the advantage of that is required. This has to become a content when you are imparting a lifelong education. This is what is going to happen because that person is going to acquire a skill which is enable them to create a business model and maybe employ 20 more people. So when you talk of the edtech and the experts, it has to be in your own space. It has to be a repeat learning. One lecture is not good enough. There may be a student like me who needs a revision, who wants to read it again and again, which in a traditional classroom education is not possible, but by using ICT tools, it is possible. Because you learn at your own timeline, you learn it in your own space, you have a repeat learning. And then you are able to access it at a very small cost because once it is made and done, it is available to the universal and therefore the costs come down. And then depending on the feedback, there can be a further modification, further sharpness that can come into it. The policy on education has also recognized, therefore, the role of the edtech in learning. And the UGC and other policies have to be conducive by enabling the experts in the edtech field. And now that you have connectivity literally spreading at a fast rate, you have 100 million phones. Out of that, nearly 40% are smartphones. It is possible to reach to the people for them to add on to their course in their own timelines. And therefore, you have to come up and handhold these edtech. It can be built within the university. You can use the private players into it and therefore enable and help them to self-regulate with grievance redressal so it is not exploitative to the learner. I will say whether it is going through EdTech, whether it's going to be course content, whether it is to be timelines, you have to put the learner at the center stage, and convenience of learner, access of the learner, and affordability of the learner has to be your guiding factor. So now adult education has taken an entirely different balance. It is not just learning letters. It is not just writing name. There used to be a famous advertisement of writing Minu. That is not there. Now adult education is to acquire the skills to enhance their employability, to go ahead, and taste of pudding is how much of sustainable employability we are able to create. We don't want laborers. We don't want skilled people if we want to get the democratic dividend. So when you look at it, the prospects are huge. I told you the number. What is the size of the clientele which is available in the market, which is anxiously looking at the material which will enable them in their timelines to acquire the skills which will make them better employable. The number is huge. ILO itself is talking of a big number. Add to that the new 8 million which are looking for the jobs. Add to that the 40% who are already working are unemployable and needs reskilling. The scope to them is to cover these impediments which are standing in the way, and which is the fast changing technology, fast changing industry, fast changing methodology of agriculture, fast changing methodology of food processing, fast changing methodology of the techniques used even in the science subjects, even in the psychology subjects, even in the pure political science and other subjects, to be aware of the new tools, the new skills, the new interpretation of what's happening. This is very, very important. So the scope has to be to cover all these impediments. Then it is equally important to look at the challenges which are coming. And challenges is that the universities will have to step out from their thinking, from the hackneyed way of the course materials, which has been used over a time, and use this ICT of EdTech and frame the courses in small modules, which the people can learn, which are self-taught, which are able to explain to the, depending on the feedbacks you are getting of the various problems that are coming, which also enables them to move ahead at a much faster rate when we are acquiring these skills. So under this scenario, you will see that the biggest challenge is to reach out, to train the professors, to train the teachers to come up with these modules. And now it is very easy. The pandemic has taught you and made each one of you much tech savvy. You know how to record, you know how to formulate a course, you know how to use the various tools to make the course much more interesting, and how to upload it so that there is a recall, there is a repeat learning when they are moving ahead. And it is going to be a massive opportunity for the youth who missed out on the regular education, the youth who could not go ahead with this education, and who know that either they will be thrown out of the job if they have been lucky to be employed, or they will be underemployed. That is also an equally important, and their employment is not sustainable. They may be earning today, they may be not earning tomorrow. So it's not a continuous source of earning they are having. And if India is to have this dividend, demographic dividend, it is going to last with us only for 10 years. And this 10 years, it cannot be made into a liability. It has to be used to really sort of shoot up to get a higher growth rate and go ahead. And this has been the history of all the developed economies which has come forward. So we cannot mix upon it. We cannot even think of missing on this opportunity when we are going ahead on this. So if you look at it, to create 8 million plus 40% of those who are non-employable out of 85 million, means 3 million. Again, so 8 plus, if you look at out of 15 million, 65% are unemployable of the workforce which is entering again and again. So if you look at that number, so 65% is nearly 8 million. So you have a huge number which is available in the market for which the university has to tighten the belt. And that is why in the policy making, they have been talking about giving more and more focus in the new education policy on the word lifelong learning. And second word is that you use the edtech tools when you are moving ahead with it. It is a matter of worry. Truthfully, I'm telling you, sitting on the other side of the table, when you see this increasing unemployable youth which are being thrown into the market, then it is leading to a lot of frustration and social problems. So UGC does not have much time to redefine the courses, to model the courses, and you all professors are a big contributors because you have an experience to redraft these courses and push it in the market, because like I said before, we have only a 10 years of window to take advantage of this democratic dividend. So if you look at it, then it is very important that EdTech, which has an advantage, that which actually democratize the learning. Democratized learning means it reaches the professor, may be an expert sitting in Delhi or sitting in Chennai or sitting in Bangalore or maybe sitting abroad. But by using these tools, his lecture, his skills are available even in the remotest corner, even in a small university, even in a small college somewhere. So it is possible, and therefore it democratized complete learning process. Among the students, the pandemic has made it very, very acceptable. They have seen that by smartly using these edtech modules, they can add on to their learning process. They can learn it to their convenience. They can learn it when it is suitable time for them. They can learn it when in their own timelines and on the topics, on the subjects which is of their interest or which they have identified as a knowledge gap for themselves. So when you look at these kind of a scenario, that is the advantage you are going to get it. It is of course equitable because here it does not distinguish between those who can afford high fees, those who can afford to join the university for 7 to 8 hours for a regular classroom lectures, those who can go there regularly. In the sense, it enables a person who may be doing some small jobs for the living, but yet have an urge to upskill itself. It makes it an equal opportunity for them to move ahead into it. And of course, then this kind of a skilling makes their jobs much more sustainable, something which they can think of, something they can boast of, something they can go ahead. And that enables them to move into a scenario which gives them a better employment, which gives them an opportunity to grow in their own life. So it's a completely win-win situation if you ask me. It is a win-win situation to the student. It is a win-win situation to teacher. It is a win-win situation to the country's economy. It is a win-win situation those who are employing people, because you get the people who are better employable, sustainable, better salaries, better skilling, better growth, and that is how it moves. So I think I'll stop here, and if there are some questions, I can take it. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. I think very, very important aspect you built. And I hope if there are some interventions that is required at this juncture, any question, any clarification, any doubt on that aspect, Ma'am, when we talk about lifelong learning, I, sitting from University of Delhi from this department, I always think that when we talk about lifelong learning, we do not have the responsibility towards those who are coming for the academic course and researches. We all are talking about the extension. We have to take care of non-formal and informal learning. So sometimes I think and dream that our institution should work like by and large in a format of hospital or other organizations which remain open for skilling that the topic you are dealing and providing the technology. because skill and technology that you say, and that also those who are working in professional technological organization, that I think we understand that gap remains, and I think we also question sometime, ma'am, that the way we are teaching the students, the previous way, and we forget that today's students or younger generation have the source of knowledge through the technology in advance, which was earlier not available. So under that domain, you talked about the content and curriculum. It takes time to change, it takes time to peer review and other things, how that can be made more vibrant, more industry, more corporate friendly. And also the question we used to say, ma'am, that when we are in higher education providing degree at undergraduate, postgraduate level, research level, is there any discipline who provides more than 5% of employability in the sector of teaching? The answer becomes no. Then what we are giving to the 95% of our students entering a student at undergraduate and postgraduate level, and how we provide them skilling for the employability. And the last sentence I will say that we will have a entrepreneurship development program. Some professional organization have come, and while I was talking, I used to say that whenever we are there in family or other places, people used to ask, Rajesh ji, aap kab retire honge? Then I say that we people like us always have fear कि अरे भाई retire भी होना है, but those who are the professional entrepreneur have skills will never retire, whether we feel like that. So how will you interpret such aspect that such kind of issue is geared up in the university system, particularly the public university system, madam?
Very well said, because what is important is that maybe a department like yours have an opportunity to link with the needs of the market and the gaps which is coming out of these students who are coming out from the university. So what are the gaps that the employer feels between these people who are being thrown in the market and seeking for the job? And that gap filling is something can be the beginning point for the course content that can be made into modules, and that enables them for them to enroll with you and acquire those additional skills which will make them better employable when we are moving ahead with it. So that will be a beginning point when you are moving ahead, because that is something everybody is looking forward, and that is what is needed and need of the country. And when you have such a huge young population, and with more and more automation, lesser and lesser jobs, the traditional jobs which were available, there is a need for a complete rethinking. In fact, I will use the word reverse engineering. You have to look at the kind of jobs which are going to come in the market in coming 4 5 years, and have a relook into your courses and do a reverse engineering to redraft that whether your students are getting those skills. The skill is, it may not be 100% knowledge, but skill to absorb and acquire what is needed in the market once they are recruited, to quickly sort of absorb and make themselves capable, is the need of the day. So whether it is a good primary teacher which is coming out after university education, or a professor which is coming up out of the university education, a professional which is coming out of the university education, all this is very needed, that how good or how bad the employer thinks them to be. And India's advantage of the universities who were sort of getting easy employment across the globe was of the quality then. But then today the need has changed, and that need has to be sharpened when we are moving ahead into this. And that reverse engineering, getting a feedback from the employer, will enable you to quickly come. And again, I'll repeat that your process of curriculum designing is very time consuming. But unfortunately, our democratic dividend window is 10 to 15 years. India is going to also start aging after 2030, 2035. So it will be an aging population of more 60 plus than the earner population. So it is this window, and in this window, if we are not able to give them a sustainable employment, the Indian economy is not going to grow. They will be a big hindrance, a big liability. So therefore, it is important for you also to sort of create mechanisms so that your curriculums can be short, it can be a certificate courses, it can be a smaller courses, and then it can be added into a proper degree courses when you're moving ahead with it. Because that is what is going to help for quickly making these smaller modules and then sort of combine them to become a proper degree course when you're moving ahead with it. Instead of waiting for coming out with the perfect courses when you are going. Because anyway, otherwise they will go and seek it from the market, which may be a half-baked kind of skill, as has happened in the computer education. The universities never provided. It was these centers which came up and they provided some computer education, and people started getting employment as stenos or typists or others, other kind of skills, or data analysis for that matter. All this employment hardly came from the university. Hardly came from the university.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. I think any question or anything to add? I hope very important aspect you dealt, ma'am. This is a time that you say that the time for the demographic dividend, 10 to 15 years, what we have to do, and maybe we have to go for skilling like the way China or other countries are very fast skilling their population, their young population. We will have particularly our institution, universities, our departments who were made for such kind of a short-term, long-term intervention. We can play very important role in doing the things. And we will try our level best, ma'am, to come up to the expectations gradually, come out of the way, out of the box for that aspect. I think Professor Asa, you wanted to ask something?
Yes, can I have?
Sure. Professor Lokhande,
Yeah,
welcome. Yeah.
yeah.
Professor
Good
Asa
evening.
Patil from SNDT Mumbai University. Yeah, please.
Yeah, it was a really excellent talk, and very well points have come up. All of us, we have recognized that upskilling is required. Okay, those who most of our university courses are not employable. I think there is no need to do any research on it. So when it comes for the role of Department of Lifelong Learning, do you suggest all these courses should be on a distance mode, or what do you suggest? Anyway, you have said it should be learner centric and as per the space of the learner. Yeah, we agree that. But what I'm afraid that if we go on the distance mode, whether there will be any difference between the distance education department and lifelong learning department. So what is your opinion on
Yeah.
it?
Now, absolutely very pertinent question, because distance education department is imparting exactly the same course what a university is going. Whereas your lifelong learning, you have put in the word of employability. So you are having a relook into the entire design of the course, and it can be a combination of both. Like you have to give them a time and space to do that lifelong learning, reskilling themselves, adding to their skills, selecting a topic of their interest, and maybe attaching them for something for the training. That attachment can be with the university, it can be with MSMEs, it can be anywhere. Because what is needed and what was mentioned about China, exactly the same thing Vietnam did. You will be amazed to know that the Vietnamese changed the curriculum every year. The Vietnamese courses, not just engineering, but even the ITI kind of courses, they change the curriculum every year, looking at after 4 years, what is the market need? And If the market is going to need more builders, or if the market is going to get more computer operators, or if the market is going to need more machine, your health equipment handlers or mining equipment handlers, they in year one, while getting the student, they modify their codes completely. And that is the reason why their economies are growing very fast. They can't waste the human resource. And that is something we have to learn. For us to change a curriculum is a hell of a job. Hell of a job. You all know it better than I, because you must be dealing with it day in and day out. Therefore, it is very important to have these modules. You can piggy ride on the private sector where people pay the fees. The offline self-learning is if the enthusiasm is of the learner. But if there is a half-baked learner, then little classroom is very important, for them to get into a discipline, or maybe a timelines, maybe an examination, maybe a testing mechanisms. So all that is very, very important when you are going ahead into this reskilling. So it has to be a combination of both, and it has to be, you can think of coming up with these modules, which is very important, and it is very different from the offline learning which is coming from universities like IGNOU and other things. No, it is not the same at all. Right? It is just like acquiring a BA, BSc, BCom degree in phases over a period of time just to call yourself a graduate. It doesn't help them. It doesn't help them.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
Very, very important aspect you dealt upon. And I think it is just the beginning that on that aspect, I think you spoke. The department will again request you, will trouble you online, offline, that we wanted to change ourselves, not only content and curriculum, but we also wanted to have some, skilling programs for the unorganized sectors, nearby community, and something online in a big way, because such department must show something differently, because the mandate of the University Grants Commission and how it was different from others. So such challenges we will take up, and we will see that not only for formal sector, but for non-formal and informal sector, offline, online mode, how skilling by using the technology can be done. And for that, we will again trouble you, invite you, and it is a very, very important aspect you dealt upon. I am highly thankful to you, ma'am. Thank you, Dr. Arna Sharma, for joining us and giving us insight on a very, very important issue and concern. So thanks, ma'am. अब समय है कि मैं प्रोफेसर उषा शर्मा को इंट्रोड्यूस करने का। प्रोफेसर उषा शर्मा एनसीईआरटी में एजुकेशन की प्रोफेसर है, और काफी इनका काम है एजुकेशन के ऊपर, लिटरेसी, न्यू लिटरेसी के ऊपर मटेरियल डेवलपमेंट करने का, और नया मैं मैगजीन भी देख रहा था उनका, हमारे पास एक होगा। और मैडम लगातार आई थिंक 365 डेज इंटू 7 ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम, करिकुलम डेवलपमेंट ऑनलाइन चल रहा है। आज भी मैडम का एनसीईआरटी में पहला दिन है, अभी मैडम जुड़ी है, लेकिन मैं समझ रहा हूँ कि इनका प्रोग्राम ऑलरेडी एनसीईआरटी में फर्स्ट डे के हिसाब से चल रहा है। मैडम एनसीएल जो न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी के तहत जो प्रोग्राम बना है, वो जिम्मेदारी एनसीईआरटी को दिया गया है, और वो एनसीईआरटी के जिम्मेदारी के रूप में मैडम डायरेक्टर के रूप में बखूबी संभाल रही हैं, और काफी अच्छा काम यहाँ ट्रेनिंग, करिकुलम, ऑनलाइन डेवलपमेंट होता है। कई बार हम लोग शायद दिल्ली में रहने के कारण या बाहर के भी लोग जुड़े हैं, और हम लोग बहुत उत्सुकता से जो ऑल इंडिया लेवल पर जो भी एडल्ट एजुकेशन डिपार्टमेंट है, सबको प्रोफेसर उषा शर्मा जोड़ रही हैं, जोड़ने की कोशिश कर रही हैं। तो हमने ये सोचा कि चूंकि मैडम का जो सेल है ये काफी कुछ काम कर रहा है, ऑल इंडिया बेसिस पर ये नेटवर्क है, तो ये जो गवर्नमेंट का ऑल इंडिया लेवल का जो ये काम है, इसके साथ कैसे विश्वविद्यालय जुड़ सकता है, क्या कंसेप्ट है, वो चीजें प्रोफेसर उषा शर्मा आज कुछ अगर हम लोगों के साथ साझा करें। वेलकम मैम, वेलकम।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, बहुत बहुत आभार रिस्पेक्टेड प्रोफेसर राजेश जी और डॉक्टर संजय शर्मा जी को मैं यहाँ देख रही हूँ, और आप सभी जो इस आभासी मंच से जुड़े हैं उनको CNCL NCERT की ओर से हार्दिक अभिनंदन है। जो मेरी बातचीत है और जो विषय मुझे दिया गया है वो CNCL के बारे में बताना है कि वो क्या काम कर रहा है, उसकी आगे की प्लानिंग क्या है। और मैं CNCL की डायरेक्टर नहीं, मेरा नॉमिनेचर इंचार्ज है। CNCL की जिम्मेदारी ये मुझे दी गई है काउंसिल की ओर से। नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी 2020 में ये कहा गया था कि जो नेशनल सेंटर फॉर लिटरेसी होगा एडल्ट एजुकेशन के लिए, वो NCERT में होगा और एक कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट बॉडी की तरह से वो काम करेगा। अगस्त 2021 को NCERT ने इस दिशा में आगे बढ़ते हुए एक सेल कॉन्स्टिट्यूट किया है जिसका नाम है सेल फॉर नेशनल सेंटर फॉर लिटरेसी CNCL, और हम लगातार पिछले साल से इस दिशा में काम कर रहे हैं। मेरी जो चर्चा का मुख्य बिंदु रहेगा वो ये है कि न्यू इंडिया लिटरेसी प्रोग्राम के कुछ मेन कंपोनेंट्स के बारे में हम बात करेंगे, और ये भी देखेंगे कि CNCL अडल्ट एजुकेशन के लिए जो NEP की रिकमेंडेशंस हैं उसके लिए वो क्या काम कर रहा है। नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी में अडल्ट एजुकेशन को जो लर्नर की एज ग्रुप डिफाइन किया गया है वो है 15 इयर्स एंड ऑनवर्ड्स, यानी कि 15 साल और उससे ऊपर के जितने भी व्यक्ति हैं जो नॉन लिटरेट हैं वो सब CNCL के लिए CNCL उनके लिए काम करेगा। दूसरा मेन कंपोनेंट ये आता है कि 15 साल उससे ऊपर के व्यक्ति ही क्यों, तो वो इसलिए क्योंकि 6 से 14 साल तक के जो बच्चे हैं उनकी एजुकेशन एक फंडामेंटल राइट के तौर पर है, राइट टू एजुकेशन के तौर पर है, और भारतीय संविधान का जो अनुच्छेद है 21A आर्टिकल 21A उसके तहत 6 से 14 साल के बच्चों को शिक्षा का मौलिक अधिकार मिलता है, और इसलिए 15 साल और उससे ऊपर के व्यक्तियों के लिए हम अडल्ट एजुकेशन की बात कर रहे हैं। हमें ये भी समझना होगा कि, और आप मुझसे ज़्यादा बेहतर तरीके से जानते हैं कि एजुकेट होना और लिटरेट होना ये दोनों में बहुत फ़र्क है, ज़मीन आसमान का फ़र्क है। एजुकेट होना एक अच्छा इंसान होने की निशानी है, एजुकेट होना अच्छा बिहेव करने की निशानी है, और एजुकेट होने से मतलब है कि आप अपनी ज़िंदगी के तमाम चैलेंजेस स्ट्रगल्स को फेस कर सकते हैं और उससे उबर भी सकते हैं। जबकि जो लिटरेट होना है उसका सीधा सीधा संबंध लैंग्वेज से है, लैंग्वेज लिटरेसी से, यानी कि पढ़ना लिखना से है। तो जो NEP 2020 एडल्ट एजुकेशन के लिए 5 एरियाज की बात करती है, उसमें सबसे पहला जो एरिया है वो है फाउंडेशनल लिटरेसी एंड न्यूमरेसी, यानी कि बुनियादी साक्षरता और संख्या बोध। ये एक टूल है, ये साध्य या एंड नहीं है, ये एक महज टूल है। लिटरेसी एक टूल की तरह काम करती है, एजुकेट होने में मदद करती है। ऐसे बहुत सारे व्यक्ति हैं जो कभी स्कूल नहीं गए, जिन्हें पढ़ना लिखना नहीं आता है, लेकिन वो हमसे ज़्यादा बेहतर तरीके से एजुकेटेड हो सकते हैं क्योंकि उनके पास ज़िंदगी का तजुर्बा है, एक्सपीरियंस है, और वो ये जानते हैं कि लाइफ के जो चैलेंजेस हैं उसको कैसे फेस किया जाता है। तो इसलिए लिटरेट होना और एजुकेट होने में फ़र्क है। फाउंडेशन लिटरेसी न्यूमरेसी में हम जो भाषा है जिसका व्यवहार होता है समुदाय में, जो स्पीच कम्युनिटी की लैंग्वेज है, उसमें पढ़ना लिखना आ जाए और आप बुनियादी संख्या बोध भी ग्रहण कर लें, यानी कि उतना भर सीख लें गणित में कि आप उस गणित का गणितीयकरण कर सके जिंदगी में, यानी कि मैथमेटाइजेशन हो सके। तो गणितीय संकल्पनाओं को, गणितीय जो जितने भी मैथमेटिकल ऑपरेशंस हैं, जो बेसिक ऑपरेशंस हैं, उनको आप इस तरह से इस्तेमाल करें कि जिंदगी जीना आसान हो जाए, आप कहीं ठगे ना जाएं, और आपको जो अपनी ज़िंदगी में जहाँ जहाँ गणित शामिल है वहाँ वहाँ आप उसका भरपूर और सही तरीके से और विवेकपूर्ण तरीके से उसका इस्तेमाल कर सकें। यही बात हम फाउंडेशनल लिटरेसी के लिए भी करते हैं कि उतना पढ़ना लिखना आ जाए कि आप धोखा ना खाएं ज़िंदगी में, अपने आप को अभिव्यक्त कर सकें, जो आप पढ़ रहे हैं, जो प्रिंट मीडिया है आपके आसपास, उसे पढ़कर समझ सकें। और एक सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज जब हमारे सामने है वो है सोशल मीडिया की लैंग्वेज को पढ़ना। तो जब हम पढ़ने की बात करते हैं तो हम रीडिंग बिटवीन द लाइंस की बात करते हैं। इसलिए पढ़ने का मतलब केवल अक्षर ज्ञान नहीं है, पढ़ने का सीधा सीधा संबंध जो है वो समझने से है, और समझ में वो तर्क, वो लॉजिक हमारे पास और क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग डेवलप करना बहुत ज़रूरी है। तो ये फाउंडेशन लिटरेसी न्यूमरेसी का एक एरिया है जो एनसीईआरटी का मैंडेट है। जो दूसरा हिस्सा है वो है क्रिटिकल लाइफ स्किल्स। हम सभी जानते हैं कि डिजिटल वर्ल्ड किस तरह से लगातार आगे बढ़ रहा है और कोविड ने हमें सिखा दिया है कि आपको अब सीखने सिखाने के और बहुत दूसरे तरीके इख्तियार करने होंगे, जिसमें से डिजिटल एजुकेशन एक कंपोनेंट है। तो क्रिटिकल लाइफ स्किल्स में के अंतर्गत हम डिजिटल लिटरेसी की बात करते हैं, फाइनेंशियल लिटरेसी की बात करते हैं, लीगल लिटरेसी की बात करते हैं, हेल्थ हाइजीन की बात करते हैं, फैमिली वेलफेयर की बात करते हैं, एनवायरमेंटल लिटरेसी की बात करते हैं। तो ये सब चीज़ें ऐसी हैं, ये ऐसे कंपोनेंट हैं जो आपको फिर से एक बेहतर, सार्थक, एक मीनिंगफुल लाइफ लीड करने में मदद करते हैं। मोबाइल हम सबके पास है, लेकिन इंटरनेट बैंकिंग कैसे होगी, क्या सावधानियां बरतनी है, ये डिजिटल लिटरेसी का हिस्सा है। आप अपने मोबाइल पे क्या क्या देख सकते हैं, ये डिजिटल लिटरेसी का हिस्सा होगा। फाइनेंशियल लिटरेसी में आता है आपको कौन से शेयर मार्केट में अगर आप अपना पैसा लगाते हैं तो आपको जोखिम पढ़ने होंगे। तो जहां जहां पैसा जिस जिस तरह से मौजूद है हम सबकी जिंदगी में, चाहे वो बैंक में पैसे जमा करना हो, बैंक से पैसे निकालना हो, पैसों का ट्रांसफर करना हो, वो फाइनेंशियल लिटरेसी हमारे पास होनी चाहिए। इसके साथ साथ हम एनवायरमेंटल लिटरेसी की बात भी करते हैं, पेड़ पौधे लगाना क्यों ज़रूरी है, आप एनवायरमेंट को कैसे प्रोटेक्ट कर सकते हैं। और लीगल लिटरेसी, ज़िंदगी में वो आमतौर पे जो छोटी छोटी घटनाएं घटती हैं, दुर्घटनाएं होती हैं, उस पर हम क्या, हमारा लीगल राइट क्या है, हम लीगल पर्सपेक्टिव क्या है, लीगल एस्पेक्ट क्या है, इन सब की जानकारी होना ज़रूरी है। तो क्रिटिकल लाइफ स्किल भी एक तरह से डायरेक्टली या इनडायरेक्टली हम सबकी ज़िंदगी से जुड़ा हुआ हिस्सा है। ये जो लिटरेसी है, और हम अगर क्रिटिकल लाइफ स्किल्स को देखते हैं तो हम कई तरह की लिटरेसीज की बात करते हैं, कई तरह की साक्षरता की बात करते हैं, यानी कि चीज़ों को समझना, चीज़ों को जानना, चीज़ों को समझना और चीज़ों का सही तरह से उपयोग करना, ये लिटरेसी का हिस्सा बन जाता है। NEP 2020 तीसरा हिस्सा कहती है वोकेशनल एजुकेशन, जहां हम लाइवलीहुड की बात करते हैं। और इसका चौथा हिस्सा है बेसिक एजुकेशन, जहां हम अपनी शिक्षा को और आगे बढ़ा सकते हैं। उसकी अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ हमारे पास हैं, जो NIOS का मैंडेट है, जहां हम ऑनलाइन टीचिंग लर्निंग की बात करते हैं, जहां हम डिस्टेंस मोड के लर्निंग की बात करते हैं। अब कक्षा 3, कक्षा 5, कक्षा 8, कक्षा 10, कक्षा 12 की पढ़ाई NIOS के माध्यम से कर सकते हैं, तो वो बेसिक एजुकेशन शुरू हो जाता है। हमारा पांचवा और अंतिम हिस्सा है लाइफ लॉन्ग एजुकेशन, जो हम सभी के लिए है। तो इस लिहाज से देखा जाए तो NEP 2020 एडल्ट एजुकेशन के माध्यम से नॉन लिटरेट को फाउंडेशन लिटरेसी न्यूमरेसी के माध्यम से एड्रेस करती है, और बाकी सारे कंपोनेंट वो हम सब के लिए हैं। हम जो लिटरेट हैं और हम जो हमारे पास कोई ना कोई डिग्री है या हम स्कूल पास किए हुए हैं, तो 15 साल उससे ऊपर के जितने भी व्यक्ति हैं, जो साक्षर हैं, जो शिक्षित हैं, उन सब के लिए हमारे बाकी 4 एरियाज काम करते हैं। CNCL का जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन हुआ है वो इसीलिए हुआ है कि जो नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी के रिकमेंडेशंस हैं हम उसे इम्प्लीमेंट कर सकें, जिसके लिए नेशनल लेवल पे नेशनल सेंटर फॉर लिटरेसी कॉन्स्टिट्यूट हुआ है, और स्टेट लेवल पर स्टेट सेंटर फॉर लिटरेसी कॉन्स्टिट्यूट हुआ है, जिसमें भारत सरकार ने बजट का प्रोविजन भी रखा है। जो CNCL है उसने अब तक काफ़ी काम किया और हम हर दिशा में काम कर रहे हैं। सबसे पहले हमने जो अपने लर्निंग आउटकम्स हैं, फाउंडेशन लिटरेसी न्यूमरेसी के, जिस पर असेसमेंट होना है, जो सर्टिफिकेशन के लिए काम आएगा, तो वो हमने डेवलप किए हैं। फर्स्ट ड्राफ्ट उसका हमारे पास रेडी है, हम उसे रिवाइज कर रहे हैं और बाकी सबकी फीडबैक लेते हुए हम उसे बहुत जल्द फाइनलाइज कर देंगे, ताकि स्टेट फर्दर अपना काम शुरू कर सके। तो फाउंडेशन लिटरेसी न्यूमरेसी में क्या क्या कंपोनेंट शामिल होंगे, कितना पढ़ना उन्हें आना चाहिए, कितना गणित उन्हें आना चाहिए, इसकी जिम्मेदारी हमारी फाउंडेशन लिटरेसी न्यूमरेसी को लेकर, जिस पर लर्निंग आउटकम हमने बनाए हैं। हमने एक और काम किया इसी के आधार पर, हमने प्राइमर्स बनाए हैं। प्राइमर्स में हमने उन्हीं लर्निंग आउटकम को ध्यान में रखकर, जिसमें 13 थीम है, जिसमें, और ये 13 थीम भी ऐसे हैं जो एक लर्नर की जिंदगी से जुड़े हुए हैं, उसकी जिंदगी के हर एस्पेक्ट को छूते हैं, चाहे वो परिवार की बात हो, पास पड़ोस की बात हो, डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट की बात हो, फाइनेंशियल लिटरेसी, लीगल लिटरेसी की बात हो, पर्यावरण की बात हो, परिवहन यातायात की बात हो, मनोरंजन की बात हो। तो जिंदगी से जुड़े हुए उन तमाम पहलुओं को समेटने की कोशिश की हमने इस पर प्राइमर के माध्यम से, और इसमें हमने लिटरेसी न्यूमरेसी के लर्निंग आउटकम्स को ध्यान में रखकर ही ये बनाया है। इसकी सबसे जो खास खास बात है वो है इसका इंटीग्रेटेड फॉर्म में आना। हम कहीं भी लिटरेसी और न्यूमरेसी को अलग डिसिप्लिन या सेपरेट डिसिप्लिन की तरह नहीं देख रहे हैं, और नॉलेज यूं भी सिंगल एंटिटी होती है। ये हम हैं जिसने उनके एक आर्टिफिशियल डायकोटमी हमने तैयार की और हमने उस नॉलेज को कई हिस्सों में बांट दिया, भाषा में, गणित में, विज्ञान में, सामाजिक विज्ञान के हमने और हिस्से कर दिए, चाहे वो ज्योग्राफी है या हिस्ट्री है, पॉलिटिकल साइंस है या फिर सोशियोलॉजी है। कुल मिलाकर देखें तो सारे हिस्से अपने आप में जुड़े हुए हैं और वो एक सिंगल एंटिटी है, नॉलेज। हमने इसी इंटीग्रेटेड फॉर्म के आधार पर प्राइमर्स बनाए हैं
मैडम से कुछ अगर पूछना, डॉक्टर मनोज या कोई भी मैडम के साथ।
हाँ, प्रणाम सर। प्रणाम सर।
हाँ हाँ, डॉक्टर मनोज। डॉक्टर मनोज ने न्यू लिटरेट जितेंद्र मिश्रा भी जुड़े हैं। इससे पहले कि हम लोग फिक्की का सुने, डॉक्टर मिश्रा भी हैं प्लेटफॉर्म पे। सिद्धांत, ज्योति,
गुड आफ्टरनून सर, आई एम हियर।
गुड आफ्टरनून। तो देखिए कितना अच्छा मौका है कि हमने डॉक्टर जितेंद्र मिश्रा जी को, ये जुड़े हुए हैं JDTI, मतलब मैं नाम ढूंढता हूँ, डॉक्टर मनोज, तो एक साथ प्लेटफॉर्म पे जुड़े हैं। तो थोड़ी थोड़ी आपकी भी बात हम सुन के उसके बाद हम फिक्की से बात सुनेंगे। तो आई थिंक डॉक्टर मनोज, अगर आप अलाउ करोगे, पहले हम मिश्रा जी को रिक्वेस्ट करते हैं, डॉक्टर जितेंद्र मिश्रा को। हाँ, डॉक्टर मिश्रा प्लीज।
Yeah, sir. Good afternoon, sir, and really very thankful you have invited me for this important seminar. Though I am not matching with this whole system, but definitely I am part of the Department of Adult and Lifelong Learning. So I did my PhD from here. So in that way, I am related to department, and I am regular in touch with the department and providing different aspects, discussing with Dr. Rajesh in detail. So I think it's a good opportunity for me, and as I am working for Delhi State AIDS Control Society and this AIDS control program, HIV AIDS control program for Delhi. Basically, I am engaged with basically lot of marginalized population and vulnerable population. And now we are all discussing how we can connect the community with the university and all. So we have plenty of university communities are there, and their needs and their dynamics has also been changed in these times. And keeping review, I think we also gear up our to deal with this community is also the need of the hour. If you see the community is now very dynamic and they to engage them into the different program and to involve them into the different program, we also need different skill sets, which is actually we are facing lot of problems. If you see, we are working with various voluntary organization, and voluntary organization is biggest employer of the in these stage. If you see, the voluntary organization are even then more than number of schools in the country. So more than even than 50 lakhs, more than 4 lakhs or 5 lakhs voluntary organizations are registered in the country. But if you see the professionalism in the voluntary sector, that's really big challenge. And we need to develop a good leader who can deal with the community, who can work for the community. So if you see, there are a lot of skill gaps, which I am regularly discussing with sir also. So we need to more work on to prepare the professionals who can work in this voluntary sector and can provide more support to the such vulnerable community. Especially if you see the we need lot of professional to deal with the community, so that how community can be mobilized and they can seek various welfare schemes which are available by the government of India. So that such skills actually we need to develop through the university, through the department. And apart from that, there are a lot of professionals also having the various skills gap related to the proposal writing. Even then, various action research are also being conducted for the community, and we are facing lot of issues and problems and challenges to finding out such professionals. So research is the one of the area, counseling is the another area, community mobilization, community engagement, and community involvement is also one of the area where a lot of professionals needs to be developed. So I think department can do a lot of work, and basically the identification or visibility of the community in the university system is very negligible, though Delhi University has started lot of activities, extracurricular activities under the department, and department is running transgender resource center, which is the unique example of community involvement, and directly community is involved. But ultimately, community need also be professionally empowered, so they can basically work for their peer community. So a lot of other requirement work, basically courses need to be designed. So the community can be empowered, community can learn lot of skills, so they can involve, they can provide welfare support to their respective fellow members. So and apart from that, NGO sector is also a very vibrant sector, and which is employing lot of professionals. So that also required overhauling of the skills in different field. So that can be worked out, and department can design some of the uh, uh, market demanded courses, so which can be helpful for the professionals who are already involved in the voluntary sector, but they are facing a lot of skill gaps, and they are facing challenges to survive their job. So I think department can play a very big role in supporting such human resources which is already working, so their reskill can be developed, and the new professionals can also be developed accordingly the market and need of the voluntary sectors. So I think we need to work on that front. So in department, I'm very sure that department will able to do these all things, and I think Now Manoj is there, so Manoj is already. And thank you, Manoj. I have seen you after a long time, and that's really very great to see you. So I would like to listen from your side also. So thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Rajat. Thank you very much for inviting us. Thank you, sir.
Sir, should I start?
Dr.
Sir, should I
Manoj,
start?
thank you,
Yes, sir.
thank you, Dr. Jitendra. I think you have given a valuable input, and we will just get back to you. There are a lot many opportunities in the new education policy where we have to management and service delivery of civil society organization. So thank you for joining. And now you can just give your valuable input, followed by that, that will very important presentation and the last presentation after Dr. Manoj. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, Dr. Manoj.
Yeah. Professor Rajesh, Head of Department and convener of the event. Professor V.K. Dixit, all the invited dignitaries, faculty members, students of UG and PG section, research scholars. First of all, let me to say that I'll complete my introduction or speech within 5 minutes or 5 to 7 minutes, because I know the essence of time, as well as I know my role and my involvement to this event. So first of all, I'm very much thankful for the opportunity to speak on intervention of alumnus on role of employability, and this is a very important aspects of discussion. If we talk about prospects and scope of employability in adult and lifelong learning in higher education in India, challenges and opportunity, I should start from the 3 dimensions of higher education in India, that is teaching, research and extension. So I must say for adult and lifelong learning professionals, the roles are in everywhere. The challenges is how to make an interdisciplinary approach between our area of expertise into the demand of the academic world. Here, this is a really this is a challenge for all of us, because most of us, we are practicing in a different way and we are theorizing in a different aspect. So there is a gap between theory and practice. So what I would like to suggest here is that we should minimize the gap between theory and practice. That's the first challenge for us. The second thing we will discuss about the employability opportunity. We the professionals can create our job avenues of research and development, primarily on empirical research. While we are talking about research or in development, basically we are talking about primarily for empirical research, counseling and guidance, different NGO sectors and various government organizations, etc. Here I must say about self-skill and professional skills. This is highly essential to grow further. And the session is we should create linkages. Linkages have to be established, academic and industrial sector, for promotion of employability. Alumnus of various sectors should facilitate linkages with their respective academic institutions. For example, there should be a linkages between academic institute as well as industry, so that we can create more job avenues as per our demand and as per the demand of academic field. And the second thing is, in the present era, networking is the key. So there are many examples of strong academic alumnus working towards employability and ventures. For instance, Ivy League institutions like Harvard University has strong alumnus network which facilitates for employability in coveted positions in organizations. The elaborate projects which brings and work experience. The alumnus can play a role of mentor for the current students. They bring on table various problems and prospects towards employability. May I interrupt Mr. Kumar Gaurav? Can you speaker? Speaker.
Gaurav, please unmute yourself.
All please unmute, please. Yeah.
So let me to repeat my last 2 points. That is, the alumnus and current students of academic institutions can work on collaborative projects, which brings on table both the employability and work experience. There should be, what I am trying to suggest here is, there should be some collaborative projects between the pass outs and the existing scholars. So there should be some better idea that can be inculcated in future. The last point is, the alumnus can play a role of mentor for the current students. They bring on table various problems and prospects towards employability. The alumnus are exposed to different types of employment and hands-on experience, which help students to smoothly transitions from academic world to employment sector. So these are the few sessions and my inputs that I wanted to put here. So once again, I'm very much thankful to Professor for giving me a platform to. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Manoj. You have provided a very important inputs to, I think, Jyoti and Siddhant, and hinted towards the linkages of alumni. You have cited example of Harvard University collaborative researches, and I hope these two dynamic people will also work very soon on the alumni. We will have a Google Form network, and we'll see that how much we can work together on that aspect. Thank you, Dr. Manoj. It was a very short time that were allotted to you, Dr. Misra. I know it was just a introductory kind of a thing. We wanted to show the diversity of our thing. I think now we all invite us for a very, very important last session of FICCI. Jyoti, I assign you to introduce Madam for this session. And I just say to participants that after her session, we'll have some questions with FICCI, Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce. Linkages is very important under NAP 2020, we all know. And I say that when we will join tomorrow sharp at 10, we have a session of senior advisor under NAP 2020, Professor Ramachandran from NIPA, Professor S.Y. Shah, Professor N.K. Ambust, former Pro Vice Chancellor and Chairperson, NOS, National Institute of Open Schooling. So quickly at 10 to 11, 11:30, there will be very important presentation. So we will have to join before 10 tomorrow. So Jyoti, please introduce our last speaker from FICCI. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Now, thank you all the dignitaries for being here. And now I'm inviting Ms. Anuka Kumar, Head CSR Oppo Mobiles India Private Limited. She is here on the behalf of FICCI as an expert in CSR. And the topic given to her was corporate social responsibility and employment in adult and lifelong learning. Now, the floor is yours. Ma'am?
To share my viewpoint with the esteemed panel of academicians and students. Lifelong learning is a very, very critical element. And I will share a different perspective of lifelong learning. The way we or the way industry looks at lifelong learning is slightly different than what academia looks at lifelong learning. So let's view this from a different perspective. Just allow me to share my screen. Just give me a moment. Please just let me know when you're able to see my screen.
Okay, ma'am.
And your screen is visible. Presentation is visible. And you are muted, ma'am. Please unmute yourself.
Is it better now?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's look at lifelong learning and the CSR perspective to things, right? Before we get into lifelong learning, let's first understand what is CSR, right? And why there is so much of noise around CSR. What do people really understand by CSR? And how is it applied? Usually in India, CSR is considered only the community development activity or the community involvement piece. But there is a very, very important overlap that CSR has with the economic growth of the region where it is being applied. Now, this is where there is a strong overlap between lifelong learning and the social upliftment of the community as large. In fact, if you look at it, the World Bank very clearly defines, saying that it's the continuing commitment of business to enhance and contribute to the economic development while improving the quality of the workforce, right? So this is basically addressing one, the well-being of people. Second, it's looking at economic growth of local community and society at large. And also, it's looking at how it can support businesses. Now, let's look at what are the change drivers for businesses, right? Even before we look at the academic impact, let's look at it in terms of why businesses would be interested. What is their area of address and what is their pain point? Now, if you look at it, the curve of technology is changing far more steeply than the curve with which we are adopting or accepting or building our skills on use of technology. When people come to us and talk and say, employability is an issue, we are not getting employment, how do we increase employability? Do we answer the question, are we correctly skilled? Is our curriculum in line with what the industry wants? Do we have the right kind of exposure? Are we adding real value to the workforce that is required by the industry? So actually, there is a huge gap. And this gap is the business performance potential gap. This gap is the gap which is not or which is holding us back from achieving the economic success. It is us who needs to build our skills to be able to address this gap, help businesses perform to their business potential, and make meaningful impact of the technological change that is happening. We are living in times where technology is really leapfrogging ahead, right? If you look at the technological advancements in the last 10 years and you compare it with the technological advancements that have happened in the last 100 years, You will see the massive growth rate at which technology has changed. How far has it been for us to transition from using a feature phone to a smartphone? How fast have we transitioned from going to the PCO booth to make a phone call to now sitting anywhere and making a video call? Just see how fast we are transitioning there, right? And how fast have we been able to build our skills to be able to cater to that market? Now, that's a question I want academicians to answer and students to really ponder upon. I introduce one more facet. The circle of productivity. Skills are the accelerator. Higher and relevant skills contribute to sustainable development, higher productivity. Enterprises generate employment and work when skills are around. Now, this is a circle, each one dependent on the other. Somebody needs to step up the activity and fulfill the circle requirement. Each dependent on the other, each waiting for the other to take a move. Right? We really need to collaborate, move together. And this is not either or. This is both. One can't choose to be without the other. Let's look at another facet of things. Most of us on the call today would end up in white-collar jobs. I could take the liberty and say that more than 99% of people listening today would be looking at the white-collar jobs. But, dear friends, a large segment of our huge workforce is in the blue-collar jobs. Do we, as an ecosystem, really ponder upon mechanisms to have an inclusive lifelong learning mechanism for the blue-collared workers, for people who are not as fortunate as the rest of us? What are we doing in that space? How are we helping them? These are questions that we need to collectively answer. And I would request the chair to deliberate more upon this in the sessions tomorrow. Let's look at understanding what are the physical and non-physical barriers to equal access of opportunity and equal access to lifelong learning. One clear call out, lack of infrastructure. We may have hundreds and thousands of academic institutions spread across the country. How co-located are they with workplaces? Are they built into workplaces? Can we really permit these blue-collar workers to get education while they are earning? Do we still have mechanisms where they have to either opt for employability or academic progression? Can they choose both? If they can't choose both, the answer is too clear for us. They would choose employability, even if it means stagnation. Now, it comes with a caveat. With the technological advancements, they might just not have employability remaining, or they may not be of equal value to the employer. How do we give accessibility to people with disabilities? And I'm not talking about physical disabilities, economic disabilities, regional disabilities, demographic disabilities. How do we really help reach where we plan to be? How do we really grow our economy? Distances. How can distances be an aspect that we could take care of? Social discrimination, language barriers, cultural stereotypes, women at disadvantage. How do we make these things, blurred? How do we make sure that they are given access? Is something that we would want academicians to deliberate on. And how do we really, help to negate the negative impact on individuals' livelihood while remaining in education? That is utmost important. We would want the individual to remain in livelihood, not move out of livelihood for education. I just joined this session and discussion a couple of minutes, prior to my session. And what I really heard was, we are talking about employability from the aspect of first employability and using the alum network and talking about lifelong learning. But the major point to ponder is, I in my role would decay if I don't build my skills. As an exec role, we've got enough of options. MDP options are there, e-learning options are there. There are enough and more options for us to progress academically. But do we have mandated learning hours? Not all. Now, this is one activity that maybe academicians should try and recommend to policymakers. Let's look at certain activities around skills and lifelong learning ecosystem. Let's talk about integrating skills and lifelong learning in the social and economic policy agenda. Today, and most of you would agree, Germany is where it is today because they regard skills at the highest level of academic attainment. How many of us really consider a skill-based degree at a higher position? I'm not talking here about ITIs. I'm not talking here about, BVOC. All of those are still considered lower. But let me ask you a question, a formal question. We've got the creamiest of executive working in organizations on premium positions like chartered accountants, company secretaries, and so forth. Do we have them have a degree, or is it just an institute and a certification? Why don't we have a degree there? Why don't we regard skills as equivalents to degree? It's time for us to ponder upon it. When we can't give an executive this eminence and social, benefit, just give me a minute, take the message. How do we expect to give people in the workforce, the non-executive workforce, the social standing. And it is upon our academicians to focus upon it, think about it, and deliberate, get it into the social and economic policy agenda. How about partnerships between the worlds of learning and the worlds of work? It's so nice to say that we should have a collaboration. What is one doing? I'll give you an example that we are setting up in OPPO, and maybe it could be an example for the rest of them to follow. We are setting up an OPPO Skills School, wherein using the NAP framework, we will offer our workforce an option to complete an apprenticeship embedded degree program while they build their skills on manufacturing the best mobiles in the country. It is a partnership. We as an organization stepped up and signed up with the world of learning, being a partner in the world of work. So can and we call upon academicians to partner and see how we could really integrate the activity of apprenticeship into academic degrees so that a person can learn and earn his livelihood. We've just taken a first step, but what we would want and understand is, would it be possible for me to progress as a learner and progress my learning in terms of higher degrees? Right now, we can have only a bachelor's degree. Can we progress that to a master's degree? Can somebody in, say, electronic manufacturing attain a PhD? These are aspirations for them to grow. And then they grow because of the wealth of skills that they build. It is very much possible in Germany. My question is, why is it not possible in India? It's a two-way path between learning and work. Not stagnating, not initiating just at the beginning of the career. It's a lifelong learning. And lifelong learning does not conclude at my age of 20 or 25. It probably gives me a lean to look at how I can continue learning and say 65. And these are questions that we would want the academicians to deliberate on. How can we build together an organizational structure of learning organizations and the necessity for the learner to continue to engage in lifelong learning? We need to create a mandate, keep them hooked for it, ensuring skills is for everyone and it's everyone's responsibility to build skills. It's a two-way, two-directional, bi-directional kind of activity. It cannot be a singular objective, and it cannot be fulfilled by only one representation. It needs to be much more collaborative in functioning. Some of the issues and some possibilities of learning I've articulated on this deck. Just like, most academicians say that we don't know where the jobs are. On the demand side, people say we don't know where the supply is. Where are the students we need? No answers. Actually, the hidden message between us the students we need. It's basically the skill gaps and the shortages. The poor skill utilization. People get overtly skilled in certain agendas. BTech ho gaye to barbar ke BTech ho gaye. No need for them, still they are all doing BTech. A very, very poor and socially low image of vocational skills. Vocational skills will change the way we are perceived as a nation. But we choose to not plate higher in the hierarchy. And that is something that we really need to work upon. Inclusion of vulnerable people. There are so many segments of people who need upliftment, and that's exactly where the CSR components come in. Inclusion of the vulnerable lots to help build more vocational activities into the functioning, to strengthen the skills and labor activities together. How do we improve guidance and counseling? Can we together, academia and industry, run a movement to patronize skills? We really need to, cull out social messages to tell, well, a skilled person is a highly skilled and aspirational roles, because if we don't get there, people will always demean the value of skills. And just as you said, Professor, skills is art of doing, and theory is art of knowing. People with skills don't know the art of knowing. People with knowing don't know the art of doing. We really need to merge this somewhere for industries to be making use of opportunities that are available on the ground. There is the innovation lag. The good thing is NEP is opening up education. We really need to speed this up. Create open, innovative mechanisms, harness the power of this beautiful structure that NEP provides. Hop in, hop out, slowly progress your career beautifully, so that the value chain of education is interwoven into the livelihood mechanism, and thus adds value to the people that's there, community uplift that happens, and gives enough of motivation to both the industry for economic upliftment, and also the engaging units, which is the community at large, which are individuals at large, of fulfillment, both skill base, hands-on knowledge, academic progression, recognition, and utilization. So it is more like a tied-up activity together, and it will strengthen the forgotten learners. These forgotten learners, it's so important to build them on to the mainstream. We actually have a huge base of people who are in the factory workforce. We're talking about Make in India. How does Make in India really happen? Make in India happens when we are able to really cater to the deficits of these forgotten learners. Bring them into the mainstream, reskill them, upskill them, and not just once, it's throughout their working lives. ensuring transition between their roles, jobs, unlocking potential for the nation. It is so very important to see how we can slowly give these blue collar workers a range of job arenas that they can take. Believe me, they are the fulcrum of us moving ahead as an economically progressing nation. And for us to bring about this change, we need academic institutions to be partnering with us. Before I conclude, I would just like to leave this message to the forum. Lifelong learning is key to economic growth. CSR can support by bringing in the vulnerable segment. However, academics is the one which helps to weave this lifelong learning and ensure that businesses are able to support the economic progression of the nation. I would like to conclude here and open up for any questions if there is from the forum.
Thank you for this valuable session. Lifelong learning is the key to economic development, and very rightly said that the academia and the industry have to work together for the growth. Any intervention, any aspect, FICCI has to play a very important role under NAP 2020. We have to come closer, and we have to make our content, curriculum, training, research, all as per industry oriented, because employability is certainly linked with that. Any issue, any intervention at this juncture, please. Yeah. I think.
May I ask?
Yeah, please, Sanjay, Dr. Sanjay Sharma from Sagar University. Sanjay, kindly, please. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I just perceive the notion, particularly in NEP context also, NEP 2020 context also. When we talk about the skilling, there is a huge shift between social skilling to market-oriented skilling. Nowadays, in the name of 21st century skill, basically we talk about the skilling supported by the industry or supported by the market. But in this realm, how do you find the space for the social skilling?
Social skilling needs to be interwoven along with the technological skilling that we're talking about. Social skilling cannot be a standalone activity. In fact, the beautiful program that NEP has allowed, which is apprenticeship embedded degree programs, how do they really help students? They help students by them understanding the social skilling pieces in an organizational, environment, recognition of activity. And thank you, Dr. Sanjay, for bringing in this activity where you're talking about social skilling. Social skilling, I would also want to extend this question and say, how about, bringing the ambit of agricultural and agriculturists into the whole activity? Why don't students do an immersion in other technologies as a part of their degree programs to build their social skilling?
Thank you, Dr. Sanjay. A very good debate, a very important aspect you raised at this aspect, and then the explanation. Thanks a lot. Thank you. I think we will get together and we'll have our future collaboration with FICCI, with the all lifelong learning institutions, and we will have to go for all kinds of skilling, that our population required for the demographic dividend region that the previous Dr. Aruna Sharma told. Thank you. Thanks a lot for joining, and I am really happy that you provided very valuable input at this juncture. Highly thankful to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. May I allow Dr. Satyajit from Plan India? Are you here? Hello?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Yes, yes.
Very good evening.
Very good evening. I could not see you. As you all are aware that Plan India, if I say Plan India, we all are aware. And now since I think more than 6 months, we have our partnership with Plan India. We are doing many activities with the community in the areas of counseling and guidance. And also very quickly, I was just answering to Mr. Ghosh, input on developing a digital kind of a aspect of career counseling and guidance. A very good program. We have, lot many things working together, and we hope that at Pan India level, we all can work with, Plan India. So, Mr. Satyajit Ghosh, please I provide you this opportunity to speak. And Dr. Bani, can I give you the opportunity tomorrow? What do you say?
Perfectly fine, sir. Perfectly fine. No
Okay,
problem.
okay. Thank you. Thank you for joining. And I now invite Satyajit Ghosh to join. Dr. Vani will be having the opportunity tomorrow. Dr. Vani Bora is also working as a senior consultant with Professor Usha Sharma. I welcome you here joining for
Thank
that.
you, sir. Thank
So,
you, sir.
yeah, thank you. We give the opportunity to Mr. Satyajit Ghosh from Plan India, and last intervention for today. Tomorrow we have, as I repeat, senior consultant Ramachandran, Professor S.Y. Shah, after Professor Ramachandran, Professor S.Y. Shah and Professor Ambast, and then our sessions will be there. So, Mr. Satyajit Ghosh, please. Thank you.
Good evening to everyone. Firstly, I thank you to Professor Rajesh from Department of Adult and Continuing Education and Extension. It is a very good opportunity for Plan India to share our learnings specifically on career guidance counseling, and that we have been working together from the couple of months, back. And I know it is coming to an end of the day, but people must have got tired, but I'll keep that my discussion as much as possible shorter, so that it can be finished within time. Let me just upload my presentation, just a minute. Is it visible, sir?
Yeah, it is visible.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you
yes.
so much. Thank you. So let me just tell you that Plan India is an international organization, but we call Plan India in India because we are registered, organization in India, and we have been working for more than 40 years in India, and globally is many more years, and we are a kind of a child rights organization, and Plan India is a nationally registered independent child development NGO working in India since 1979. As I said, because our main focus, girl child and young women, although we are working with boys and men as well. So gender transformative program has been our prime focus, as my earlier speaker was mentioning about skills for everyone and mainstreaming everyone. So being an organization, being an NGO, we have been working with the underprivileged children and young people, particularly with girls and women across country and even globally. And we strongly values the the impact, because wherever the program is going on, irrespective of Delhi, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, Bihar, Jharkhand, we really wanted to have the impact of each program. And similarly accountable, because if as a development professionals we are not accountable for the providing opportunity to the underprivileged children and young people, then the impact will not create. Then again, like that kind of the togetherness. It is very very important that you work together, not in isolation. And that is why Plan India has come forward to meet Professor Rajesh in the Department of Adult and Continuing Education, and we really wanted to have the strategic direction from him and from the department, because since we have been working on the education sector and particularly on career guidance counseling, we got immense support from the department. And inclusiveness, as I rightly say, that empowering inclusiveness, mainstreaming skills for everyone, it's very very important, because in our society we have been getting a lot of opportunity. But what about the underprivileged communities? What about the underprivileged children and young people who need to be be at equal stage? So that's why the plan works with the underprivileged children and young people across country. Our vision for 22, 27 is empowering girl child to take actions to get equal rights. Because if we are not able to provide the rights to the girl child, the nation will not be fulfilled. Beti Padhao, Beti Bachao is the kind of slogan from government of India, and you have to follow all this thematic space speeches to get it in action. And we have an ambition, within 5 years, from 22 to 27, 20 million girls to reach out through learning, lead, decide, and thrive. Learn means, whatever, awareness need to be built up in the community. We have to create an awareness in the community for the children, young people, and their family members and other key stakeholders in the community. Lead means you have to make them empowered enough, adequate, so that they can lead their life happily, and take decisions at every level, whether it is the education pathways, whether it is the kind of a sexual health and reproductive thematic area, whether it is the nutrition, and lastly thrive to protect themselves from any kind of protection and gender-based violence. So these four areas are very very important, and we have already built upon each of the thematic programs across country. And of course the gender transformative interventions, unless parents are with the children and young people and with the community, then a girl child will not be a succeed in their career. As I was mentioning that Project Paramash has been designed to take initiative for the career guidance counseling for children and young people, particularly in the age group of 15 to 24. And it is definitely giving a much more scope to us the post COVID. We have seen the impact of the pandemic on the study and the career of the young children. So it is a proven fact that the first generation of learners from poor economic background, they don't get easily this opportunity. We have to really, really give them a support, either from the NGO, from the government, sectors, NGO sectors, corporate sectors, even from the institute like the Delhi University. Then overall, the development will take place, in a girl child and in a boy child. So even a lot of studies like Miller says that 93% schools in India not even having a professional counselors. 93% students knew that only seven career options. But doing such kind of intervention on the ground, and especially when we work together like academicians, development professionals, corporate, professionals, then it get much more easier for the underprivileged children and young people to get success. And so the goal of the project is actually to empower the children and young people, and especially the career opportunities, make them informed and career choices based on their interest and ability. I must say that that with the help of the University of Delhi, particularly Department of Adult and Continuing Education, we had come up with a very fantastic aptitude test forms, and the interns from the department has
I'm
gone to the field.
sorry, sir. Sorry to disturb you.
Hello,
It is not moving.
it is not visible.
Yeah, it's not actually. No,
Okay,
it's visible but not moving.
Slides are not moving.
Yeah.
it's moving now. Hello.
No,
Actually, no, sir. We
Okay,
are on the first slide.
okay, I don't know why it is not moving. Okay, let me just try once again.
Is it possible for you to?
I have shared the document
Yeah, you
with.
can try once, but if
Yes, sir.
It is shared.
Continue oral presentation. Yes, you can
yeah,
continue. We'll share with the participants later on.
Okay, okay, okay.
Thank you.
So, what I wanted to mean here, 1 minute. So what I wanted to mean it here, like, we actually, focus on the children and young people who are the generation learners in the community and their families. So based on the interest and ability, we take them to the, different career choices. And I was mentioning the department has really helped us in developing the aptitude test. We had piloted in the community, and we got a lot of interest from the children and young people that they really would like to go for further studies. And so we have kind of the four category of the program. One is making awareness in the community, particularly the children and young people in the age group of 15 to 24 years. And so that focuses on the career guidance to children. And the second, activity majorly we talk about low career information through conducting physical and digital fairs. And again, I must say that it was possible in collaboration with various stakeholders like corporate sectors, NGOs, and also department, from University of Delhi, and a lot of young children and youth with their parents, they came forward to see the different kind of stalls which were located in the career fair, and they got benefited out of it. Similarly, like our partnerships with the agencies and access the government schemes and the corporate schemes. There is a plenty of governments and corporate schemes available in today's time. So we make them aware to the children and young people through our different intervention, interpersonal communications, that look, there are a lot of opportunities from different private sector, government sector, and those schemes we try to link them up for their career development. And lastly, the engaging parents. It's very, very important that unless engage the parents in the child or youth, they will not get support. We as an NGO go to the field, also have responsibility to educate parents, because if the decision has to take for a child, even for a boy child, from both the sides, from the children point of view and the uh, parents from point of view. Although there are a lot of free scholarships and opportunities there, but they need to take a decision jointly. The parents should not MBBS, the expectation plenty of opportunities. A girl child, a boy child can take any kind of profession very brighter. So irrespective of whether it's a academic career choices or even vocational skillings, skill building courses. Many a time in our community, children and young people, they said, like to go for higher studies. And we see, their child or in community, they show for vocational courses. They start also for them because to sign, there's a lot of right future can be, make by doing professional courses like computer training courses, and market. So all these things, we basically try to make them aware about these, the market, facilities or the course opportunities through awareness program, linking them, with the different, government facilities, etc. So, over the period of time, we do not only go to the field or make them aware about the, their choices. We also keep doing, the webinars on different topics, because most of the time we all know in today's time, both boys and girls, irrespective of urban and rural situation, all of them mostly are be having the smartphones. So we try to, make them connected with Plan India and keep on organizing webinars on different topics. Topics in the sense like, financial literacy, entrepreneurship skills, career guidance, on academic, issues. So whole lot of, the like-minded subjects need to be, taught to them, through organizing webinars. As I said, the digital career fair, physical career fair have been, very successfully done in the community or even in the schools level. And a training, yes, physical training is very important for them. We try to, give them kind of, learning how to prepare a CV, how to make a resumes, go to the interviews, how to careers, we try to make them career choices, at the same time giving them training on different aspects, so that they should not face any problem in the interview level. Exploring scholarship schemes, because many of the children, they know about various scholarship schemes, but they are unable to upload, the forms. So our field workers, our project team, even the interns from due, they go to the field, they help them out, the child and the youth, in, fulfilling the online, formalities. Very recently, I must say that CUET is one of the, opportunity that everybody has to, go through these common test. But our unprivileged children, they were unable to fill up the online forms. So our due interns, our, project team, they help them out in fulfilling the formalities. And parents important is very important. We also organize time to time the parents meeting in the community. We recently, celebrated the global parents day by engaging them and to make them aware about what is the importance of career guidance counseling for the children. So it is very important that, we not only talk to children and young people on career guidance counseling, but at the same time we work together. We work with parents. We work with the, stakeholders. I am happy to quote here, like, from the like 8 and 9 months, we have been able to sign and SOI with between Plan India and Department of Adult and Continuing Education, University of Delhi. It has really, really created a good impact in the community. We also, like, try to make the students from the department aware about the counseling and career guidance, that Paramash project has been doing in the community. We also organized, quiz and painting competition with the students in the DU itself. We engaged a lot of interns and students in various career guidance fair in the communities. Time to time, we get support from DU interns and the project team for providing career guidance counseling through online. So these are the some of the the opportunities that we have created in the community, so that, as I said in the beginning, the skills is for everyone. It's not that we only get these benefits of the various scholarships, incentives from the government and corporates, but it is actually for the underprivileged children, and particularly for the girls and young women who are actually deprived from all kind of opportunities. So thanks once again to in Delhi University and Professor Rajesh for giving us the opportunity to talk about our Paramash project, which is mainly talk about career guidance counseling for the underprivileged children, and particularly for girls and women in the community. So I stop it here, and anybody in case have any kind of the questions, I'll be happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you for giving a very, very important input. I think Sia and Siva are associated with Plan India, providing their valuable input, and we have done lot many things together in collaboration with Plan India, and we would like to further what you call explore the newer areas for intervention. So anybody having any query, we could just try to show our linkages with FICCI, Plan India. I think next day, Dr. Bani will find time to share something. So anybody having any query related to Plan India, I
I'm
think
really sorry my presentation couldn't see by everyone, but I have shared my PPT with you, sir.
we'll make it a part of final report, and we'll share with everybody in Pan India, with all those who are joining and those whose email are available. So that is not the problem, but anybody having any query, as the last speaker, Mr. Satyajit goes, very important community level intervention Paramars project. I think we are very convinced the level of work, counseling guidance undertaken by Plan India in Delhi and other places is very useful. Uh, so I think maybe that people from the 3 p.m. itself might be exhausted. That is the what you call issue of the online, sessions. That online session after 1 or 2, 3 hours, you get maybe exhausted. You need fresh energy to be there. So I understand, but very, very important aspect, Mr. Satyajit. I am highly thankful that you joined here and provided your valuable input. Of course, the PPT that you had shared, you will share, that will be the part of final sharing document with all the participants, and not sharing, but we will see that how future collaborations can be done. I think Dr. Raul, you are here. No, Siddhant, I just request you to finally wind up today and invite tomorrow sharp at 10 a.m. Very important session of tomorrow. So kindly vote of thanks and wind up, Mr. Siddhant.
Hello everyone, I am Siddhant Singh, Research Scholar of Department of Adult Continuing Education and Extension, University of Delhi. First of all, I would like to thank all of the dignitaries, all of the collaborative speakers who joined here and give some valuable input about how to just enhance the collaborative approach of lifelong learning in the sense of employability and other senses. So I would also like to thank all the audiences who are present here from across India, Pan India, and I would like to thank some corporate speakers just like Vicky and Mr. Satyajit Ghosh who are from Plan India. And after that, I would also like to thank all the dignitaries, all the head of departments who present here. And I just brief you out the tomorrow session, who started from the Professor K. Ramachandran, who is a senior advisor of NIPA, New Delhi. And after that, we have conducted a address of Professor S.Y. Shah, who is the director of International Institute of Lifelong Learning. And then after Professor N.K. Ambasht, who is a former chairman of NIUS and pro vice chancellor. And after that, we have a tea break, and then we have a presentation of the various departments across India, 10 minutes about each institution, their nomenclature, their faculties, the research scholars, area of interest, and all about. And after that, I'm deeply apologize to Banipura because we couldn't provide some space for her today. We will arrange some time for her tomorrow. I sincerely apologize for that. And with due to this, I just request all of the audience and all the dignitaries and head of department to kindly join at 10 a.m. tomorrow to just provide your valuable input and just access all the scope which we are looking for in adult and lifelong learning in India. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you all the audience. Just patiently listen. And I think it's a very tiring session, but because of your strength, because of your enthusiasm, we are very delighted. And thank you. Thank you so much for this beautiful session. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you all for joining till the last moment. We could see that with full energy, highly thankful. And to, I think, Siddhant and Jyoti also for constantly providing their valuable time and joining for that. I think I thank you, everybody, those who have joined. See you tomorrow, sharp at 10. We'll join at 9:50. Thank you, Rameshwar. You also thank you for providing the technical support. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sia. Thank you.